To democratize IP knowledge, CDIPR strives to empower creators, innovators, and businesses to harness their intellectual assets effectively. Our efforts are rooted in fostering inclusively sustainability and economic resilience through innovative IP practices. It gives me an immense honor to welcome you all for the conference of South Asian Global Intellectual Property Summit 2024, organized by CDIPR. With the permission of our esteemed guest, we shall move on to the conference.
Please.
Thank you, sir. I would request our first speaker, Dr. Abhishek Chakrabarti, and Ms. Bhuneshwar Rai, Assistant Professor, Rice University, to present their paper titled The Evolving Framework for Influencer Marketing, the Implications for Trademark Rights and broad brand reputation. Sir, they'll be joining in just a minute, sir.
No, no issue.
So the first speaker is facing some technical issues, sir. He shall be here in just a minute.
In case of a longer problem, we can move to the next team if it's available. Only it is taking more time, not otherwise.
Okay, sir. So we have Ms. Bhuneshwar Rai here with us, sir. So we have Ms. Bhuneshwar Rai here to join with us, sir.
Yeah, both are.
Just a clarification, he is Mr. Bhuneshwar, right?
My apologies, my apologies.
Uh, yeah, both are.
Sir, I just want to confirm, Mr. Bhuneshwar Rai, you will be presenting, right?
Good morning, sir and ma'am. My co-author, Dr. Abhishek Chakrabarti, is going to present. So I think he's joining. He's in. He
I
joined.
think,
Yeah, can you hear me? I'm here.
yes, yes. Please. Mr. Chakravarti, you can start, please.
Okay, can I share my screen?
Yes, please.
Okay, thank you. Is the screen visible?
No, not yet. Now it
Okay, so can you start presenting the paper?
is. Yeah, Mr. Chakravarti, if possible, can switch on your video if bandwidth permits.
Okay. Uh, how to do that?
Just there's a in bottom there are icon mute, stop camera. Just click on a start camera. Second icon on the bottom.
I my I have not stopped my camera actually, sir.
No issue. You can go ahead, sir. Without camera, it
Yeah.
also fine.
My camera is on, but for some reason it's showing as
No,
black. I don't
no
know.
issue, Mr. Chakravarti. We can start.
Okay, so I'll start with the paper presentation. So myself and Bhuvaneshwar sir have authored this paper, which is titled as "The Evolving Legal Framework for Influencer Marketing: Implications for Trademark Rights and Brand Reputation." This research paper aims to delve into the evolving legal and regulatory landscape governing influencer marketing in India, with a particular focus on the disclosure requirements and the emerging jurisprudence in this domain. This paper focuses on the regulatory measures taken by the government to ensure truthful and transparent marketing practices by influencers. Its paper also looks at the various cases wherein courts have intervened to curb misleading or disparaging content by influencers. Through an analysis of this development, the paper seeks to provide insights into the best practices that influencers and brands should implement to ensure compliance with the law and maintain the trust of their target audience. And the paper will discuss the ethical consideration and the best practices that influencers and brands can adapt to build consumer trust. Now, I hope the present screen is visible to the um,
Yes.
panel. Yeah. So this image represents the delicate balance between the two competing legal and ethical considerations in trademark law, that is trademark protection and freedom of expression. The left hand side refers to the rights of trademark holders to protect the brand identity, logos, and other distinguishing features from misuse or unauthorized use. The right side represents the freedom of expression, which allows individuals to use trademarks in specific contexts, such as criticism, satire, or parody, without violating the law. So the central scale symbolizes the legal and social efforts to balance these two competing interests. On the one side, brands need to protect their trademarks from misuse to prevent them to their identity or reputation. On the other hand, society values free expression and permits limited creative or critical uses of trademark. Next, yeah. So this image illustrates the challenges in navigating social media marketing, specifically the intersection between trademark rights and influencer marketing activities. The left-hand circle represents the legal rights held by companies over their trademarks to prevent unauthorized use. These rights are designed to ensure that brands can control how their names, logos, or other identifiers are used to protect their reputation. The right-hand circle denotes the practice of influencers who use their platform to promote products or services, which includes creating branded content, endorsement, and collaborations, which can sometimes involve using trademarks without explicit permission. The middle section highlights the gray areas where trademark rights and influencer activities intersect. This could include situations where influencers use a brand's logo, product, or name without permission, either intentionally or unknowingly, leading to potential legal disputes. So, next slide where I'm talking about, there are three primary influencer categories: mega, macro, and micro. Mega influencers boast over 1 million followers. Macro influencers have a following between 40,000 and 1 million. Micro influencers are everyday people who have gained popularity with a substantial online audience. A new category, nano influencers, has emerged, consisting of individuals with small followings but specialized expertise. YouTubers, and podcasters have also established themselves as influencers on social media. Social media influencers, due to their online presence and authority, hold sway over their followers, making them valuable partners for advertisers. Um, the image is a visual representation of how trademark can be used in influencer marketing. Now, the core concept of trademark protection, it emphasizes that how it can be valuable asset for influencers. Trademarks help in establishing a strong brand identity for influencers. The trademark provides legal protection against others using the influencer's brand elements. Trademarks can be used to license products and services associated with the influencer brand. Trademark deter others from creating knockoff brands or impersonating the influencer, which can damage their reputation or credibility. It's crucial for influencers to consult with legal professionals to ensure that they're properly using and protecting their trademark, because trademark laws, it's vary from country to country, so influencers should be aware of the specific regulations in their region. Um, this image explains how influencers can manage their brand partnership to avoid legal issues, focusing on two main areas: unintentional trademark infringement and trademark disparagement. Unintentional trademark infringement occurs when an influencer uses a brand's trademark in a way that could mislead consumers into thinking that influencers is endorsed by or affiliated with the brand. Uh, Trademark disparagement happens when an influencer makes negative or misleading statements about a brand, potentially damaging the brand's reputation. Influencers must be truthful and accurate in the communication about brands. So influencers have a responsibility to represent brands as clear disclosure of sponsored content is essential. Moving on, so the bone vita controversy recently. So food farmer, uh, a particular who is a influencer in YouTube, he released a video that questioned the health claims made by Bone Vita, a popular chocolate drink. So Mondelez, the company that owns Bone Vita, took legal action against food farmer. The Delhi High Court issued an interim order directing food farmer to stop posting content that discredits Bone Vita. In response to the criticism and legal action, Bone Vita altered its product formulation to reduce sugar content. Overall, Food Farmers' action appears to have pressured Bonvita into making changes to its product. The video and subsequent legal battle likely brought attention to the sugar content of the drink, prompting Bonvita to respond. Uh, Sorry. Now, this particular flow chart illustrates how the Consumer Protection Act defines and handles misleading endorsements. Now, the Act defines endorsement as any advertisement or promotion of a product by a service by a person who's perceived by a consumer as an expert. The Act outlines the various practices that are considered unfair to consumers, including misleading advertisements. The flowchart identifies misleading endorsement as a specific type of unfair trade practice. The key decision point is whether the endorsement involves unfair methods. If no, the endorsement is considered compliant practices. If yes, it falls in the false statement. False statements are deemed a violation of consumer rights. This means that advertiser can face penalties under the Consumer Protection Act. Um, Now, the picture which you are seeing represents the Advertising Standards Council of India guidelines for influencers. These guidelines aim to ensure transparency and ethical practices in influencer marketing. The influencers are expected to provide genuine and unbiased opinions about products or services they endorse. Reviews should be truthful and reflect the influencer's actual experience. Influencers should conduct proper research and verify product claims to ensure accuracy and reliability before endorsing them. Influencers must disclose any material connection they have with the brands they promote. The disclosure of sponsored content must be clear and easily understandable to the audience. In audiovisual content, disclosure must be prominently displayed so that the viewers can easily notice them. In essence, the ASCII guidelines emphasize the importance of honesty, transparency, and responsibility in influencer marketing. They aim to protect consumers from misleading endorsements and ensure that influencers maintain trust with their audience. This image illustrates the delicate balance between trademark enforcement and freedom of expression. The image uses a seesaw analogy to represent a balance between trademark enforcement and freedom of expression. When trademark enforcement is too strict, it can stifle creativity and public disclosure. This can lead to a decline in public trust. If conversely, if freedom of expression is unchecked, it can lead to trademark infringement and confusion in the marketplace, harming business and consumers. So it emphasizes the need to find a balance between the protection of intellectual property rights through trademark enforcement and ensuring that individuals and businesses have the freedom to express them creatively. In essence, the study highlights the importance of finding a middle ground that upholds both the rights of the trademark owners and the public's right to freely express themselves. Now, this particular finding, this image illustrates the key strategies for navigating trademark law in the digital area. So, first of all, recognizing the global nature of the digital world, the strategy highlights the importance of international collaboration to combat trademark infringement across borders. Trademark dilution occurs when the mark loses its distinctiveness to unauthorized use. The strategy is that expanding the scope of dilution to address new forms of online infringement. With the rapid pace of the digital world, this strategy emphasizes agile enforcement mechanisms to address online infringement. As far as industry guideline is concerned, the strategy advocates for the development of clear industry guidelines and best practice to help business navigate trademark law in the digital area. Then brand engagement underscores the importance of active brand engagement to monitor online activity, identify potential infringement, and also it is important to understand the need for clear and accessible information about trademark law and best practices for business practice. So, in summary, the digital landscape creates unique challenges for trademark law, specifically in the balance between brand protection and freedom of expression. The information wants to be free model strongly emphasizes the need for an openness of dialogue, while rendering information as a commodity calls for stricter trademark protection. The bone bit of farmer controversy exemplifies the issues that arise from the interference of trademark enforcement and digital platform society. Therefore, the study calls for an efficient strategy of trademark law in relation to the digital world, advocating a policy that surpasses traditional injunction but embraces more collaborative spirit, looking at the fostering of international cooperation for consistent enforcement, expansion of the concept of dilution, which you have already explained. In addition to that, transparency in enforcement and public education campaigns with strong measures are required steps towards trust building and shared understanding of trademark law and responsible digital practice. So, in essence, trademark law should evolve to effectively protect brand value in the digital age through collaboration with social media platforms while maintaining the principles of creativity and freedom of expression. Thank you for giving the opportunity to present. I conclude my
With the
presentation.
permission of chair, I would like to add one or two sentences with the permission of chair.
Mr. Rai, with constraint, I need to say we are allotted 10 minutes and we already crossed 10 minutes. We are 11 minutes over also. So just
Okay, okay, sir.
one, sorry, but sorry for that. Mr. Chakravarti, one, Mr. Rai, we both of them can address. Have you studied what is the provision in US about disclosure by the influencer or other
Our
country?
our primary focus was on the Indian legal framework, sir. So
Yes.
I we
No, no
have
issue. No issue,
mainly
Mr.
looking to the
Chakravarti.
ASCII guidelines, but we'll look into that. Bhuvaneshwar, sir, you want to
I,
say something about that?
yeah, because say,
Sir,
where I will,
yes, sir. To
yeah,
a
please.
greater extent, the advertisement laws to a greater extent is covered in fair trade. The FTC Act is there in US, which is largely looking into the advertisement guidelines primarily. And with respect to IP, I'm a little bit unsure with regard to the
We'll check
IP,
into the
but
disclosure
yeah,
requirements.
No,
Yes.
FTC Act is
just
the
for
Advertisement Act.
information, in US, their influence has to disclose in detail key what kind of a benefit is get. So a person, influencer, you will have a come along with a disclaimer. He paid for it. He is endorsing. And those things are there. Similar
Yeah.
other thing which uh, Zomato, this couple of years back, they used the image of a harmonium chacha comedian from Pakistan. So it was
Right.
without permission.
Yeah.
So again, this is something which is one of the two circle which you mentioned, infringement. So this comes under so that kind of a I call it as a memology where you need to know what is permissible and what is not permissible. Okay, so those aspects, but anyway, it's very good efforts from both of you. Thank you, and due to constraint of
Thank you, sir.
time, I cannot go more in a detail, but
Yeah.
hope so. I will go through your paper, and if I have any further improvement or further study we can do it, I would more than happy to share my thoughts on that. Thank you, Mr.
Definitely. Thank you for your
Chakraborty.
feedback, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you to everyone.
We will leave the studio in that case, Sarai ma'am.
Yeah, so
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
anything is
Thank
required,
you,
I
sir.
will pass it through the organizer or some other means. Okay,
We'll
no
be
issue.
honored, sir. Thank you so much.
It's my honor to read your paper. I will learn something from your research paper. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Good day.
Good day.
Thank you, team. Now we have Mr. Harshit Singh, who will be presenting his paper on geographical indication, evaluating and suggesting ways for its better administration.
Good morning, ma'am and
Welcome
sir.
and welcome. And just for information, we have a constraint of a time constraint. So I would urge you just try to finish up your presentation in around 8 minute time, so we can have a 2 minute for a Q&A. Please.
Sure, sir, sure. I hope I'm visible and audible as well.
Yes, yes, you are.
Sir, I'll just share my screen for the presentation.
Please.
So is the presentation visible to everyone?
Yes, yes, it is.
All right. So good morning, everyone. My name is Harshit. I'll be presenting my paper on the topic geographical indication, evaluating and suggesting ways for its better administration. So, at the very outset, I would like to state that this presentation explores the concept of geographical indication. It will examine its objective, a background of the enactment, certain challenges, and certain suggestions that I have incorporated in my paper for better administration of GI. So, firstly, I'll start to begin with explaining what is a GI, what is the concept itself. So, geographical indication is an intellectual property which indicates that a particular product is coming from a particular territory. It is a territorial name that conveys an attribute of a product or goodwill of producers of that place. GI is nothing but a source identifier to indicate goods originating in a particular territory or region or locality in that region, which serves to indicate the quality to let the consumer know that the goods come from an area where a given quality, reputation, or characteristics of the goods are due to the geographical origin. The main role, the essential attribute of the geographical indication tag to any product is to protect the essential contribution of a geographical location in making of a product in form of climatic, geological or biotic condition. Another very important aspect that I would be dealing in this paper with respect to GI is the phenomena of collective management. Collective management is a system where individuals, without losing their independence, cooperate with each other for mutual benefit and reach a consensus so that GIs can be collectively be established so as to make collective efforts to sustain product quality rules. Considerable monitoring, effective exclusion of illegitimate users, and sanctioning for maintenance of the reputation of GI is also called collective management. Now, coming on to the background, a few adjusted outside that we in past we have seen marks indicating the origin of goods have existed since time immemorial. Few of the examples to corroborate this statement would be
Ashit, we
basket
can
device.
skip this slide for paucity of
Okay,
time. Please.
okay. Sir, I'll certainly come to the challenges. I'll straight away come to the challenges in protecting the EGI. The first challenge in protecting GI is the identification of producers. Protection of indigenous people and knowledge is most indispensable element behind enactment of GI Act and aims to enhance the same by percolating the awareness about the GI to the deserving section of society. One of the essential parameter to be ensured for benefit of bestowing GI on any product is to be materialized is prerequisite to establish a link between the applicant and producers, which seems to be missing in our GI regime. Second, we come to the
Harshit,
certain.
Harshit, I would, sorry, I'm interrupting, but these challenges, I'm well aware of it. Can we
Okay, sir,
focus on
okay.
what solution you are looking in this?
All right, sure, sir. I'll straight away come to the
And
recommendations.
sorry, I'm disturbing maybe your flow, but what point you brought as the challenges are a real problem in GI ecosystem.
All right, sir. I'll just come on to the recommendation for improvements.
Hmm.
So there are certain recommendations and suggestions that I have listed in the paper. There are around 10, 12. I would like to put forward the major 4, 5 ones. The first one is that the need for certain registered governmental agencies having GI proprietorship to take initiatives of forming association involving all the producers of the GI products through establishment of producer association. It is advisable for the government agencies to act as a facilitator rather than being the proprietors of the GI. Every state must have a nodal agency to coordinate with different stakeholders with respect to meeting their requirements, such as availing all the required raw material or facilitating in the marketing activities for better working of GIs. In addition to these nodal agencies, should act in furtherance for developing better mechanism for enforcement of GIs, both in domestic as well as abroad. Certain schemes like the reward the leader should be introduced in each state to appreciate the efforts of the people who initiate and aid the members of community to file GI for their products to expand the outreach of the product. So some GI facilitation center should be instituted in each state, which will facilitate functioning of state GIFC in coordination with other educational bodies an institution and other agriculture horticulture department. In furtherance of promoting the registered GI, the proprietors of same should also develop or club with tourism department to have initiative to publicize on GI tourism at various circuits on different GI present in the region. Last, regular exhibitions and sale of registered and GI registered products both within the country and outside the country to build brand for products in the nation international market. The consultative meeting document attached in the IP India website should narrate the minutes of the meeting and parameters on which those consultative members were chosen, and this would bring more transparency in functioning of GI registry. There lies immense potential in interpretation of the term authorized user under the GI Act, which can be explored and be settled amicably in a manner that no one is left out from the benefits they deserve as a GI holder. So, thank you, sir. This was all that I wanted to share.
Thank you, Arshit. It was a wonderful paper. Just I would like to few aspects. Rather the point what you have mentioned, it's covered under other research paper.
Yes, sir. So, can you please just repeat your question?
Yeah, and so like producer and this challenges and recommendation.
Yes,
I
sir.
find these are something which are already mentioned in other research paper also on GI. Okay, and
Yes,
other
sir.
like producer definition. What are your
Yes, sir.
recommendation for changing the producer definition, and what is the current definition, which is how wide it is?
Sir, actually, the reason why I focused on this definition of producer, that is there in section 2K of the act, which says producer in relation to goods, any person who has produced the good, and includes the person who processes or packaging as well, right? So what is happening is that when we see certain GIs, they have been registered on the name of government agencies, right? But the reality is that there is some section of society and community who are producing and working on it. Their name is not reflected. The issue. So then the question is, why is the name of government agency being reflected? The true owner's name should be reflected on the registry website as owner. So that might hamper the real benefits that are to be percolated. The intention of legislature was for this act.
Another problem with definition is way it's wide enough to cover the producer of the GI and a person who is dealing with GI. Means trader, retailer, wholesaler, everybody is uh, included in a definition of a GI. And there is two kind of a registration. Registration one A is for a manufacturer who is actually producing it, and B is something which is also dealing with the anybody who's dealing with the product is an authorized user. So this definition is creating a problem. So that's something which we need to relook. And other suggestion which included like having a nodal agency and something. Crux of the problem with GI is lifted from a trademark. It's
Okay, sir.
a version of a trademark is reflected, but trust is a different in both acts is required. One trademark is the individual is owner and individual is concerned about that. Whereas in GI, which is a common produce, and GI can be used to uplift the rural economy or lower sutra of the society, which is somewhere you have highlighted this as a point. This was a very crucial because end of the day, this deals with the lower structure and that is to be protected. You cannot have a provision which is a replica of the trademark law. So there
Yes,
were
sir.
the nodal agency, other support and other highlights by you is a NOC not given by the government GI holder. That was another big problem in a GI system. Now provision on that is also watered down. Earlier NOCs required, now you need to just intimate them. So that has been changed.
Okay.
So,
Okay,
so
sir.
that there are a few steps are taken, but still lot to be done in a GI ecosystem. Okay.
All right, sir. Yes, sir. Sure.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay,
And
sir.
thanks for your paper, and I look forward to go through your paper. And if possible, if I have a further research or some comments from my side is there, I will pass it on to the uh, organizer. Okay. And
Thank you, sir. Thank
good
you so
effort,
much. Thank
Arshit.
you for the
Yeah.
opportunity. Thank you, sir.
Yeah. And good effort, Arshit. All the best and looking more and more paper from you and others.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Harshit. Next up, we have Shambhavi Tripathi, who will be presenting her paper on AI powered who will be presenting her paper on AI powered innovations in healthcare, navigating patentability, ownership, and liability challenges.
A very warm good morning to everyone.
Good morning.
Am I perfectly audible?
Yeah, you're loud and clear.
Good, thank you. I'll just quickly share my screen. Right, is it visible? Is my screen is visible?
Yes, sir, you're muted, sir. Sir, you're muted, sir.
Uh, Keep
Right,
your
sir.
presentation for around 7 minutes, and if
Yes.
possible, put a presentation in a uh, full screen view, presentation mode.
Um,
It's, otherwise, you can continue with presentation. No
I'll
issue.
I'll just quickly continue. I don't know
Please,
why. I'm
please.
not. It's saying
No,
it's
no
not
issue. Mr. Party, you can continue with presentation, please.
definitely. So definitely, I'll try to do that. So yes, a very warm good morning. The topic which I will be dealing with is AI powered innovation in healthcare, navigating patentability and ownership and liability. So, quickly, I would like to draw the attention to the picture which I have attached here. And it really shows that how much we have evolved. Once there was a time when a human was like using a gadget and taking like help from the AI from the gadget and navigating the healthcare sector, and now the AI has taken over it. So we understand that AI has significantly transformed the healthcare sector, and uh, like what now? Firstly, what is an AI? AI is a form of intelligence which is not so human or natural, and with respect to continuous evolution of AI, the IP challenges are constantly rising. IP is a kind of a right which is given to any creation of a human being. Now in my paper I will be dealing with the three aspects. First is that what AI based inventions could be patented, who will have the ownership, and most importantly who will have the accountability, and that is with respect to the liability. So initially AI was aimed with respect to only focusing on imaging and pathology, but with the evolution and with the time passing, AI has completely taken over the healthcare sector, from diagnostics to recommending treatment plans to personalizing medicines, advancing drug discoveries, precise patient management. With respect to everything, we need an AI to take care of the health sector. So, with this evolution, constant IP related issues are coming up. Now, the TRIPS is one instrument which provides for that minimum level of protection to the member countries. And here is where the problem starts, because TRIPS only provides for minimum level of protection. It doesn't per se tells what is novel or what is inventive step or what is industrial application. It is on the member countries to define all these terms. So TRIPS per se lacks uniformity, and later on what happens is that it creates a forum shopping kind of a situation where every inventor is looking for a jurisdiction where the inventor is able to claim maximum protection with a minimum cost. Now, as there is not a uniformity, what, like every country, like for instance India per se, India has defined invention in 21J of the 1970s Patent Act. And India also says Section 3 provides for Section 3, which says that what are not inventions. In Section 3, the subclause K per se says that algorithms are not patentable. And in the later part of my slide, I will discuss how AI based inventions are mostly revolving around the whole situation of algorithms. So In its 2021 report, NASSCOM noted that about 5,000 AI-based patents were filed in India, with 94% in the past 5 years. India doesn't have a specific criteria for AI-based innovation, so that is one challenge with respect to Indian law. Now, coming to the Europe is pretty smart with respect to it, as it has very evidently made a criteria of computer implemented inventions. Now, if we refer to the Section 3K of the Indian Patent Act, it says computer program per se are not patentable, but we have not come up with any criteria how Europe has come up with respect to CII. Now, Europe is granting patent to almost every field in the technology, as much as the looking from the perspective if the particular technology is new or involving inventive step or having some industrial application. I've also quoted an example how an automatic diagnostic platform that can determine health state of the individual by ML analysis has recently got a patent in Europe. Now, the situation of US is so that AI innovations face a lot more challenge in US, because Dabis case was also there, where an AI where the federal circuit said that the AI generator or AI cannot be an inventor, and it has to be a natural person. Now, coming to the China. Now, the China allows inventions, utility models, designs to be patented under its law. Now, how it specifies a computer program into allowing it to be a AI generated patent work, it's look into the three aspect only. As long as any computer program is a combination of program, software, and hardware, and is providing a technical solution, solving a technical problem, and using technical measures with a specific technical effect, can be patented. Therefore, AI as an application that provides technical solution can be patented. China has nearly 30,000 AI related patents, occupying 40% of the global AI patent based application in 2022. So because of all these different countries law, we are facing problem with respect to having a uniformity. Now, what could be patented again? Because algorithms per se are not patented, so we what can be patented is a systematic IT system design, where which is a combination of hardware, software, and also, as China says, that it has to have a some sort of technical effect added to it, and that could further help in solving an industrial application, achieving an industrial application. So that kind of algorithms are patented. Now, what are usually the challenges which involves in AI innovation? The challenges are Right. The challenges are that AI is an evolving technology. So, in India, if I say patent is granted for 20 years. Now, because AI is such a dynamic in nature and it keeps on evolving, if a patent application requires 3 years to be to get a grant on it, by that time, an AI might evolve. So that is a one con. The other thing is with respect to disclosure norms, it is very difficult to have a proper disclosure norm with respect to making algorithms understandable. One thing which I suppose can be a very fruitful in this manner is that we can have a live hosting with respect to algorithms. The other thing is that AI works on databases. So the data we are giving to the AI, and the algorithm, the backend algorithm which we are trying to create, how much fair it is, how much safe it is, how what are the ethics we are adding to it. Other thing is with respect to biasness also. So the suggestions could be that we have to generate create a hybrid healthcare model where ethics, sustainability are per se the top criteria. Further, we need more collaborations and research on this area. Now, with respect to ownership and liability, so we understand that the difference between inventor and owner is different. So the study advocates for that we must have an act which provides for AI IP regime where an AI can be an inventor, but the ownership lies to a human only, because with ownership comes liability. So because the ownership and as the ownership will leave to an individual, there has to be a regime of strict liability when any mishap happens with respect to AI. So in China in 2019, around 12,325 patents were issued in healthcare, and the clock is ticking. WIPO must very much pay attention in addressing AI inventorship, because we must act today before we have to regret tomorrow. That is my presentation.
Thank you, Mr. Tripathi, for your wonderful paper and presentation. Just my question to you, you said last, as part of a suggestion, AI would be the inventor and owner would be the uh,
Hmm.
human being would be the owner who created the AI. What if AI start working uh, and bypassing the owner inspection?
So that's why I said before having because tomorrow we might come with a that's why before granting an inventorship to an AI, we must have a law. So first, the law, which very clearly, with the help of all the academicians and policymakers, deals and make an ecosystem where we do not have a loophole. And then, if tomorrow we grant an inventorship to an AI, the ownership lies to a human, and it is a situation of
See,
strict liability.
Mr. Pati, I understood what your premise is, but
Yes, sir.
my question is, today we are assuming AI will base work on my instruction only as a owner of it or maker of it.
Right,
But
sir.
that is a far from reality to the scenario where
Right, sir.
AI would be way we have domesticated animal and we have evolved over periods.
Yes, yes, sir.
You will be surprised if AI would be start taking a control over us and bypassing our instruction. So that
Definitely,
is a flaw which is of a theory which we need to look more deeper into it.
definitely,
Uh,
sir.
Second, when you are talking about ideal scenario, one global scenario where we can have unified on a various aspect of AI.
Yes, sir.
Two countries which are leading in AI race is one is US and other is the China. Okay.
So, US has not per se granted any inventorship. However, China
AI,
has.
yes.
Yes, sir.
So, but two countries are leading in AI revolution or AI race,
Yes, sir.
and nobody in a world is interested in what is happening with other fellow. They are interested in getting more and more power.
Right,
So
sir.
in that
Right, sir.
scenario, why I would cooperate as a US or China who have a more ahead in a AI race, which is a controlling way we should live.
Right, sir.
So why I would come on a table and cooperate with a weaker person?
Right, sir.
So
Right, sir.
say what you are looking at is an ideal scenario, but
Yes,
we
sir.
are not living in an ideal world where everybody is here to what is there in for me.
Right, sir.
Yeah, nobody is coming with a philanthropy thought. Ki
Right,
how I
sir.
can help you.
Yes, sir.
They will say how much I can extract from you. That's a
Right, sir.
mentality we are in. Sorry, this
Right,
is
sir.
my I may not be a very idealistic approach for a world, but we are in that world.
Right, sir. But I really feel, sir, that somebody has to take the lead with respect to, because if tomorrow nobody is going to talk about it, I understand the perspective of like, why will a powerful person cooperate with a weaker person? I want somebody like Vipo coming into the picture and asserting a uniformity where, because if like this, China will keep granting AI inventorship to the respective country. It is also in the news that South Africa has given Dabus, which was a very AI generated inventorship. So if the country will keep on, like I am looking it from the lens of sustainability and ethics, And
You
taking
are
it,
absolutely spot on. I'm
yes,
not
sir.
saying, but I'm saying what your assumption are. We are living in a so-called nice world is
Yes,
non-exist. That's what my
yes,
point is. What you
definitely,
are
sir.
looking and your assumption is that we are living in a very nice world and good
Yes,
people are here to take care of each other. That's a
yes,
flaw
yes.
assumption in my limited understanding. Okay.
Definitely, sir. I totally
Yeah,
agree with it.
okay.
And
And yeah, and thanks a lot for paper, and I look forward to go through a paper. And if I have any suggestion for a further research or other pointer I can want to share, I will certainly pass it on to you through organizer.
thank
Okay.
you so
Thanks
much
a
for
lot, Mr.
patiently
Rajapal.
listening,
Yeah.
sir. Thank you for all the suggestions.
Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Patil.
Try to
So,
one request.
yes, sir.
Whenever new presenter come, tell them they try to finish the presentation around 7 minutes, so we can have a 2-3 healthy minutes for discussion.
Okay, sir. So next we have is Vikram, Krish Vikram, sir. He'll be presenting on the topic of legal gaps in patenting practices, paving the way for exploitation of indigenous medicinal knowledge, lessons from Kani tribe, and the commercialization of Jivani herb. Mr. Vikram, I kindly request you to keep your presentation short and sweet and end it within 6 minutes for question and answer.
Yes, ma'am, will do so. Sir, apologies, my camera unfortunately doesn't seem to
No,
work,
no, no,
but
no issue. No issue.
yeah,
Please go
just
on.
give me
No issue.
just give me about 2 seconds. I'll just share my screen. So is it visible?
Uh, yeah, now it is.
Yes, sir. So, greetings, everyone. I will be presenting on a paper titled Legal Gaps in Patenting Practices Paving the Way for Exploitation of Indigenous Medicinal Knowledge, Lessons from the Kani tribe in Kerala, and the Commercialization of the Jeevani herb. Um, and the paper is written by Dr. Sachidanand Prasad and myself. Viewers, primarily the particular discussion here is on the Kani tribe, which happens to be in the southern state of India, Kerala. It's located near Thiruvananthapuram. It's a pretty indigenous tribe, as you can see here in the map of Kerala. It's located primarily over here. And let's go back to the evolutionary history before I quickly move on to the challenges and the recommendations. So, primarily, this particular entire presentation focuses on the Jeevani herb. Primarily, how was this actually discovered? This was discovered because of an expedition led by the Tropical Botanical Garden and Research Institute. So they wanted to actually explore the hills wherein the Kani tribe actually resides. While doing so, they came across this particular herb, this particular plant, commonly referred to as Arogya Pacha, which means that the green gives strength. Now, they didn't understand what the logic behind the name actually stood for. But when they were on the expedition, they found out that the people of the tribe never got tired at all. They were extremely healthy and they were extremely active. No stress, and there was absolutely no fatigue. But the members of the expedition who had no idea, that is the scientists, were totally tired. So then they got to know about this particular plant, and soon post a lot of research by the Tropical Botanical Garden Research Institute, they developed this particular drug called Jeevani, which was a herbal drug, and it had massive amounts of anti-fatigue and anti-stress, immune, enhancing properties. And soon, this was absolutely unknown to the rest of the world. This happened in the 1990s and further, and this was absolutely unknown to countries like the USA, but not for long, unfortunately. So, when there was no international patent that was granted to the Jeevani herb, and considering product patents in India for plants are also something that was not recognized up until I mean, even now, in terms of indigenous plants in their raw form, the Jeevani herb barely had any IPR protection, and it was soon subject to a lot of biopiracy. Now, the commercialization was done mainly through a benefit sharing agreement between an entity called the Arya Vedya Pharmacy and the Kani tribe in itself. And the details are shown as in the slide. But primarily, the issues with the benefit sharing agreement was that essentially the prior informed consent of the Kani tribe it was more of coercion into explaining what the details of the particular herb and what the medicinal properties of the same were. It's disputed whether there was any prior informed consent at all. Secondly, IPR protection for the GBD herb was in the form of a process patent, and that had actually expired in I about 2008. So ever since then, from the very beginning, there has been no international recognition. And secondly, it also expired from 2008. So during all of this process, there was a company called NutriScience in the US, which actually took up a patent application in the name of Jeevani, and this is a patent that's still recognized by the United States of America. So, an indigenous knowledge that was recognized by the indigenous local people, discovered by them, and dispersed to the scientists, later was soon exploited to the United States and several other countries, including Japan later on, and things like that, which seems very unfortunate because no credit has been received by the Kani tribe, and all that they've received is minor compensation through the benefit sharing agreement. When there was scope for a lot more of recognition and a lot more of profit sharing with the tribe in itself. What are the main challenges that this paper primarily wants to cover? It wants to cover the challenges that these tribal informants face while dispersing their indigenous knowledge and in terms of granting patents, the inadequacies in benefit sharing mechanisms, wherein if you look at the example of the Kani tribe, the tribe was actually not mentioned as co-inventors in the particular process patent in itself. So merely the recognition that was given is through the media, as well as the compensation that they receive, or the money that they receive from the benefit sharing agreement that existed. Thirdly, the process of knowledge not being present with the tribal communities, which is totally understandable because these communities are from extremely secluded areas, and it's important to educate them on IPR protection and the process of granting patents, not just indigenous national patents, but also international patents using the Patent Cooperation Treaty and knowledge about WIPO and things like that. Lastly, warning them about piracy and the concept of novelty. And another major issue is the delay in patent application processing, because um, entities in India did actually want to, get a broad process patent, but it was delayed for decades, resulting in the erosion of novelty because the a concept that was once novel in the 1990s wasn't as novel as it was back then right now, and because of the process of not granting patents on time, this was a major issue. What do the authors actually propose as recommendations? Primarily, the recommendations are recognizing collective ownership of traditional knowledge. Traditional knowledge should actually not be associated with just a single individual or a single entity, but it should be collectively recognized with the entire community or the entire tribe. Because even if you look at the example of a benefit sharing agreement, a separate body representing the Kani tribe was created for efficiency. But unfortunately, what happened is most people of the Kani tribe who weren't part of the body that recognized or represented the Kani tribe felt left out. And all of these are issues that need to be addressed through collective ownership. Secondly, benefit sharing agreements need to be given legal, representation or legal recognition. In the sense, it should be made mandatory, and there has to be proper full disclosure about what the benefit sharing agreement is. And this can also be enhanced only by providing all of these tribes with proper knowledge about IPR protection in the first place. Additionally, we also recommend a specialized body to examine indigenous knowledge patents, because the number of patents that India receives is in the form of millions, and this has to obviously be processed in quick time. Otherwise, the process of concept of novelty, as seen in this particular Kani tribe, would actually be depleted, and this would result in a lot of problems in the future, because potential is something that is being wasted otherwise, and this should ideally not be done. So a specialized body is consisting of experts who are properly trained in identifying and examining indigenous patents needs to be established. Lastly, in India, we have something called the Traditional Knowledge Digital Library, which seems to be an extremely good initiative in terms of recognizing traditional knowledge. But unfortunately, there are some lacunas. For example, the TKDL has to give more um, recognition or towards indigenous knowledge. Primarily, this has to happen because currently TKDL does take into account, but it's morely oriented towards Ayurveda and other recognized forms of traditional knowledge, but not the traditional knowledge that is seen in such scarcely populated areas in India. For example, the Kani tribe, and most of the tribes in parts of India do not even know that the TKDL actually exists, resulting in a decrease in the amount of potential that such a good initiative can possibly have. And lastly, another process that India has to follow is proper recognition of patents by people who are qualified in terms of assessing a patent's application. This is extremely important. Further, general recommendation is to raise awareness among indigenous communities and to ensure such aspects of biopiracy do not happen in the future, and this greater IPR protection. With that, so we are open to any questions.
Yes,
Would you like to?
thank you, Vikram, for your presentation and paper. Couple of points which you highlighted, like a delay in a granting, lack of awareness, lack of proper representative of secular indigenous community. Yeah, the real problem, but solution, I would say, only awareness won't help. So
Yes, sir,
awareness
indeed.
plus active role of a government. There are two separate part which you have mentioned, but that needs to work in a tandem. Otherwise, if we are living in checklist economy, everything is there, all ticks are there, but there is no progress as such. This needs to work in tandem. Plus, again, my if it is a part of a traditional knowledge, then patent can be
Yes, sir.
granted. That's the question we need to
Yes,
look
sir.
at. Hmm.
Sir, I believe it starts with awareness, and it has to largely go on to reforms even in the traditional knowledge digital library. Because if you look at the concept of prior art, the definition of prior art is not even universal. So different countries have different definitions of prior art, and this is also a key fundamental problem that we try to address, sir, because prior art is in India through even the TKDL is not recognized in the United States. So there is nothing that can actually be done as of now, which is why we propose maybe a uniform definition through diplomacy channels regarding prior art, and probably incorporating that in through international agreements, because it's not even recognized as a common definition under the TRIPS. So all of these have to actually be addressed, and these are lacunas. But we primarily focus on aspects of making sure that indigenous knowledge is processed properly and patents are given in the specific duration of time, that is in a very limited duration of time by the
Yeah.
recognized people.
And few things are like rightly highlighted. IT grant is also taking a lot of time. That is also a problem with something which require a larger issue for ecosystem rather than restricted to what uh, particular problem at hand. So it is affecting all. IP, that quickness or a smoothness what require or user friendliness is required, which is missing. And I firmly believe in agreeing with one of the suggestion. There should be nodal agency, or sometimes we need to government need to play an active role when uh, somebody who cannot represent themselves or they're not I would say fortunate enough to have resources in terms of money, energy, and understanding what is IT is all about. There where I think government needs to come in, pitch in for them to protect their interests. So that's something which is,
Yes, indeed.
I think, that's something which needs to be looked on more deeper, how it needs to be done. And it's not only the paper, something which is reflected on paper, but on how ground it will work. And what are the checks and balance, what are the controls we require for that. Otherwise, it's everything is like a scheme where everything is all box are checked, but nothing is moving. So that's
True,
something,
sir.
and we need to go deeper into represent which are not so far represented well in a IT ecosystem.
Yes, sir. Yeah, true. I totally agree, sir. What we
Yes.
address.
So yeah. So that's something which I need to look on a mechanism, going more deeper into it rather than giving a para or 2 pages of a suggestion. We need to come up with the actual model, how it will work, and we need to look into the various checks and balances. Like if you are looking at GI system where government or the applicant, but they are not ready to give the NOC most of the time.
True,
So,
sir. True.
so
So I
this
think in
something.
terms of the specialized body, what needs to be actually done is establishing regional offices is something that needs to be done. But apart from the regional offices that are there, the people who actually process these patents or analyze the novelty of these patents need to be properly trained. There has to be scientific and legal experts involved in this particular separate body for indigenous knowledge. And
I
on a
have
case to case basis, the indigenous communities need to be properly consulted as well. So I think all of this has to be done.
Let me see, it is like a lot of stakeholders should be involved, like a government approach or government or IP office approach toward this application should be different than what is there coming from a proper pharma company. So pharma is a well represented, well organized to take up his case before the IP office and if required before the court. But indigenous community are not. So standard and support which require from a government should be of a different level. So that's something which, apart from understanding what it is, you should be more sensitive and proactive in processing that in their favor and
Yes.
giving a more leeway. So that kind of a system needs to be created. That kind of ecosystem should be created, rather than a body which it is only meant by the government or bureaucrats. I don't think we will progress. We need to involve people like a social agency, NGOs, and change agent, industrial practitioner. Then only we will have a properly represented. Otherwise, I don't want to comment more unnecessary. I will be in a problem. What other stakeholder can do.
Yes, indeed, sir. Indeed, I totally
Yeah.
agree, sir.
Okay. So that's something I think we need to look into the more detail and come up with a robust system and recommendation which will be fairly represented by all stakeholders and not only big brother is representing and all are small. They don't have any say. Okay.
Yeah, true, sir. I totally
Yes.
agree.
Thank you, Vikram.
Yeah, thank you, sir. Thank you.
And thanks for look forward to go through your paper. And in case I have any further, I think we discuss few, and I have more suggestion or something. I will certainly pass it on to the organizer. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Thank
Will
you.
do. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Vikram.
Thank you, Mr. Vikram. Now we have Shivani Singh and Kushi Kesri to present their paper on IP enforcement and counterfeiting in South and Southeast Asia, a Western perspective based on USTR 301 report.
Good morning, sir. I hope I am audible.
Yeah, you are. Good morning.
Good morning. I'll start my presentation. I'll try to wrap it as early as possible.
Thank you.
Kindly make
Just a
sure
minute.
that your presentation does not last more than 5 minutes. We'll have the remaining time for question and answers.
Sure, sure. I'll ask my colleague to please share the presentation.
It's process.
Mm, yes, it is visible. I
It is
hope
visible.
we're. Oh, that's great. Good morning, everyone. I'm Shavana Singh, joined by my colleague Kushi Kesri. And today we'll explore a pressing issue that sits in the intersection of innovation, economics, and law, which is IP enforcement and counterfeiting in South and Southeast Asia. We have looked at it from the Western perspective, and we have taken the case of USTR. Intellectual property rights are the engines that drive global innovation and commerce. They incentivize creativity, secure economic growth, and underpin international trade. However, as we know, South and Southeast Asia face significant challenges in tackling counterfeiting and privacy issues. These problems erode economic trust, put consumers at risk, and ultimately hinder innovation. The USTR Special Report 301 is something we have all likely heard of. It criticizes global IP enforcement every year and frequently highlights countries like India, Vietnam, and Thailand for their counterfeited markets. While these concerns are valid, the report often carries a Western centric bias, prioritizing US economic interests over local realities. One of the biggest challenges that we have observed in global IP enforcement is the fragmented nature of legal framework. A fascinating example of which fintech versus Google case, where Canadian courts ordered Google to globally de-endorse infringing content, but US courts criticized them for overreach. It was a classic case of conflicting jurisdiction, and it showed how tough it is to enforce IP in today's interconnected world, looking at the territorial nature of IP rights. Similarly, the Western RICO versus ION case in the US raised critical questions about extending domestic patent laws internationally. The US Supreme Court allowed damages for foreign patent infringement, but it left many wondering, where does one country's jurisdiction ends and another's begin? Geopolitical pressure further complicates such as developed nations often push developing countries to align with global standards, but there's tension between enforcement and equity. For example, for India, the USTR 301 report criticizes its patent protection, but India has emphasized affordable access to medicines, something that is enshrined in the BRICS agreement. Uh, South and Southeast Asian nations are striving to balance global agreements like the TRIPS enforcement with their unique domestic needs. Countries such as India and Vietnam have many noted progress in strengthening their IP framework, but significant challenges remain. Limited resources, legal gaps, and societal acceptance of counterfeit goods continue to impede effective enforcement. Moreover, stringent IP laws can unintentionally burden low economic communities that rely on affordable alternatives. For instance, ASEAN's IP action plan represents a commendable regional effort. However, the inconsistent enforcement mechanism across member states highlight the difficulty of achieving harmonization in practice. Let's talk about counterfeiting. South and Southeast Asia are hotspots for counterfeited goods. Luxury item, electronics, and even pharmaceuticals. In India, markets like Hirakunna in Mumbai and Tank Road in Delhi are known for counterfeited products. By 2020, the country's counterfeited market had swelled to a staggering $2.6 trillion. Other examples abound in the region. In Kuala Lumpur, Petaling Street is a counterfeit hub, while Jakarta's Manzua is a notorious for pirated goods. Even in the Philippines, the Green Hills shopping center has faced scrutiny for counterfeited electronics. That said, some countries are finding innovative ways to fight back. In Thailand, IP courses and public education campaigns at places like the NDC Center in Bangkok have been impactful. While these are promising steps, there still is a significant gap in enforcement and resources. The USTR Special 301 report plays a crucial role in shaping US trade policies. Countries like China and India have frequently been labeled priority foreign countries for their failure to protect US IP interests. This has led to trade pressure and, in some cases, sanctions. But we should consider the other side of the story. India's patent policy, which the report critiques, allow for the affordable production of generic medicines. This is a lifeline for millions in need of life saving drugs. The report also tends to overlook the flexibility offered by the TRIPS, such as compulsory licensing. Instead, it emphasizes stringent IP laws that does not always account for the socio-economic realities of developing nations. Counterfeiting is no longer confined to physical markets. it thrives online too. For instance, counterfeit luxury goods dominates the Sang Square in Ho Chi Minh City and Tan Tan Market in Vietnam. Enforcement efforts here remain inconsistent. Online platforms are even trickier. Sites like Bukalapak in Indonesia and IndiaMart in India have been flagged for counterfeit transactions. Despite implementing takedown mechanism, counterfeit goods persist. Even global giants like Alibaba haven't been spared. While they have stepped up monitoring and partnered with right holders, counterfeit listings continue to pop up. This shows just how vast and dynamic the counterfeit ecosystem has become. We cannot ignore the cultural and economic factors at play. In low economic regions, affordability often takes precedence over authenticity. For instance, in Cambodia's central market, counterfeit clothing and pirated media are incredibly popular because they are accessible to average consumers. Demographics also tell us a lot. In Hong Kong, studies reveal that younger consumers and tourists are more likely to buy counterfeit goods. They are drawn by the allure of luxury brands but are not willing to pay a full price. We have seen some creative solutions here too. Thailand MBK Center has introduced educational programs to raise awareness about the risk of counterfeiting from the safety hazards to economic impacts. The USTR 301 report, as we have noted, often reflects a Western centric bias. It criticizes India for counterfeiting but overlooks its significant strides, such as the Copyright Amendment Act of 2012, which balances creators' right with public access. The report's heavy focus on luxury goods also feels misplaced when there are more urgent issues like counterfeited pharmaceuticals. According to the World Health Organization, 25% of counterfeit drugs are sold in low income regions, posing serious health risks. This calls for a more balanced and nuanced approach. I'll move to the proposed solutions part. So, first, first we must harmonize IP laws. Agreements like TRIPS and initiatives like ASEAN's IP action plans are crucial here. Second, we need international adjudicatory bodies to resolve cross border IP disputes consistently. Third, diplomacy is the key. For example, the US and India's joint efforts to combat pharmaceutical counterfeiting shows the potential of collaboration. Fourth, developing nations need support through capacity building programs that enhance enforcement infrastructure. Finally, we should balance sanctions with dialogues, reducing trade tensions and fostering compliances. In closing, the challenges of IP enforcement and counterfeiting in South and Southeast Asia are complex. While reports like the USTR 301 highlight important issues, their narrow focus often misses the socio-economic realities of this region. By harmonizing laws, fostering collaboration, and respecting local contexts, we can create an inclusive IP framework, one that protects innovation while ensuring equitable development. Thank you. So you are not audible. You are mute.
Thank you for your wonderful presentation, Ms. Shivani Singh and Kushi Kesri. Uh, and just the conclusion part, harmonizing law, something which is a common theme I find in other one or two presentation also. But say now Trump administration is coming in picture, so trade regulations or trade the way it's been, always they want to have a control over it, and trade has become a bargaining chip. So normally this restriction and this IP law are being used towards that end. So, and one of the slide you highlighted is more for focusing more on luxury product. Bound to be there. Where the more money are there, more the control they want. Pharma generic drugs are always a pain area for others because you are eating up their money. So end of the day, it is economic right which we will be always focusing. And harmonization of law is very difficult to achieve as such. If you're looking at a simple software patenting, also India has a different way of looking at uh, software. Pulse is not patentable. US is liberal on that. Japan is anything which is related to the software we can patent it. So each country will have a different way of looking at it. So we need to really fight very hard to protect the turf, and that's what I would say harmonization is the ideal solution, but may not be practical because there will be a lot of resistance from other side. And other aspect, last you said negotiation. I was just saying something which you need to work more on that last suggestion, where we need to really have a healthy dialogue and we need to have a good negotiation. That something can be worked out. That's what my initial take on it, I would say. But I would love to go to more detail in your paper and will certainly come up and say when you are saying uh, people, that's a two problem which you identify. Consumer are sometimes knowingly purchasing the pirated or spurious product. So that awareness aspect is need to be taken more seriously. It's not only the loss to the IP owner, but it may be harmful to the end user. And most of the time, this uh, so-called infringers pirated product, they are away from a tax net. So government is not earning out of that also. So that's something which needs to be highlighted more, and we need to create that kind of a control system. But on personal front, it's very hard call to uh, control the country like US on this kind of a front. That's my not so optimistic view. Although your solution is near the ideal scenario, but unfortunately we are not in ideal world. And it was very good efforts, and look forward to go through your paper, and in case I have a more suggestion for further research or other comments, I will pass it on to you through all the way. And thanks
Sure,
for
sir.
your good effort, and wish to many more coming from both of you, or individual or with other author or same author. Okay, all the best.
Sure. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Ms. Shivani. Thank you, Ms. Kushi. Next, we have Miss Matisha. She'll be representing a paper on protecting the traditional healing practices of Indian Nepali community in Himalayan regions through IP rights.
Yeah, hi everyone. It's almost afternoon. Good afternoon to all of you. I'll just start sharing my screen. Just give me a moment. Is my screen visible?
Yes,
Hello?
Yes.
Yes, okay, sure. Thank you. So, our topic for presentation today is the protecting the traditional healing practices of Indian Nepali community in the Himalayan region through IP rights. So, what is basically we are trying to protect under Indian Nepali community's traditional healing practices is there are particular traditional knowledges for the tribes such as Limbu, Rai, and Tamang from the Darjeeling Hills who have been using local healing practices through herbs as well as other rituals. And these local healers have been known as Jankris, Boothings, Baidyas, as well as Fegmas. Now, one of these examples which we looked into was the story of late Baidya Chewang Pakring of Kalimpong, who used these ancestral expertise and knowledges of using herbal knowledge for treating the bone fractures of locally through locally produced herbs, and he was quite popular in these regions. Now, the topics which we are covering under this is firstly what traditional healing practices which we are talking about, and the practice of shamanism which was also prevalent in these regions. Then the analysis of Keith Thomas, he had a book called The Decline of Magic. We're using that framework to understand the practice of shamanism in the current situation. Then the case studies on misappropriation of the traditional knowledge, the legal frameworks, and recommendations on safeguarding such knowledge. Now, what are the traditional healing practices and the link of shamanism? Now, there are certain herbs which we found while going through the research. That there are studies which have been done by the colleges of North Bengal as well as Kalimpong University, who have found certain herbs such as Nagoya, which was chewed to treat oral ulcers, as well as Putia, which was crushed into paste for curing headaches and body aches. So these are some herbal formulations which have been used very much predominantly by the people of these particular regions. And there's an ethnomedical plant study as well for these specific healers of Jangri Bijuas and Fengmas. And they found under 121 herbs which are produced in Himalaya, almost 20 to 25 have been used by these local healers for treating the local ailments among the people. Now, we want to also touch on the aspects of shamanism because the concept of allopathy or Western medicine has been brought by the West, and the use of Ayurveda Unani has been quite prevalent within our ancient system within India. And these practices in the tribals have been in the form of shamanism. So, shamanism has been a spiritual healing which is bridging human and spirit lens, but is actually using a healing practice along with the traditional herbal formulation. Now, there is a decline factors for the same, which is the generational disinterest, the degradation of environment, which is leading to less produce of such herbs, and the perception that these kind of shamanist activities are superstitions. Uh, Okay. Next, we have the decline of magic by Keith Thomas and using that framework with our current aspects of understanding these rituals. So, Mr. Keith Thomas had discussed upon the early modern Europe, how there was a change in Western approach and how use of these magical practices, which was done for healing of people, was seen as a superstition in a negative light and a backwardness. Using these kind of understandings in current scenario in Darjeeling with the modernization and globalization and Western influence, currently these practices are considered as superstition because most of the people are now focusing more towards Western allopathic medicines and all, and there is a generational disinterest and a belief that these kind of activities are not in a positive manner and taken more in negative aspects. So we want to focus on those as well, and also these traditions and practices by these local healers have been passed down by generation orally, and there is not much documentation regarding the same. Now, moving mainly to the case studies of misappropriation of traditional knowledge. The landmark judgments which we have been quite known for is the turmeric case and name case. The turmeric case was an interesting one where we saw that the US patent was granted to two researchers for the healing properties of turmeric, which was well known in India for centuries. So, in 1997, when the CSIR revoked these patents on the grounds of prior art and provided documentation for the same. So similarly, in the name case also, we saw that these kind of patents was used for herbal
Uh,
formulations. Yes, sorry.
Ms. Muzumdar, my request,
Yes.
because of positive time, if you can skip the case law, we understood the
Okay, okay.
purpose of legal reason and lessons which.
Yes.
So, yeah, please, thank you.
Okay,
Sorry
sure,
for
sure. No, no,
pushing
no
it.
worries. So yes, so there are the case laws which we discussed that we need to protect on the same. So the existing legal frameworks, I think it was discussed in the prior discussion on Kani tribes and Jeevani, was there is TKDL, which is mainly acting as a digital archive for these formulations. We have Biodiversity Act, which tries to protect these biological plants in ensures benefit sharing. And the IP laws, which patent, trade secrets, and GI, are very limited in their scope and do not particularly look into traditional knowledge. Now we have the international regulations, but I would like to focus more on the sui generis frameworks, which there is present in Thailand, Peru, and Australia, mainly focusing on Thailand, which has the Act on Protection of Traditional Thai Medicine, which they specifically mention about these knowledge having a stakeholder, so the people who have created these kind of indigenous knowledge and they have the right to use it for commercial purposes and research. Now, I'll just move on to the suggestions and recommendations which we are requesting on behalf for this study. First is we need a systematic digitization and documentation under the TKDL for these practices. Since they are orally transferred, we do not have much documentation, and it will be tough when similar cases like turmeric and neem are present for such usages of herbal formulations here as well. Next, we request for traditional regional repositories, if possible, within the TKDL, and having languages of local people involved in this as well and translated works. So there is the entire traditional knowledges in these practices can be documented and kept proper under the TKDL. And then we talk about community ownership. That is, if we involve the local people as well as the youth in this documentation process, these knowledges will be then passed down through generations, and the current generation will also be involved in their ancestry and help protect the traditional and cultural heritage of their community. So, by concluding, the core message which we want to bring out that these traditional practices are the cultural assets and they require attention. And the challenges is the exploitation and cultural erosion. And the last steps would be to take and enhance IP protection under the same and recognize the global significance of indigenous knowledge. I think that's all for my presentation.
Thank you, Ms. Muzumdar, for your wonderful presentation and paper. I would like to know more about the Thai law on medicine, which you refer on a third last slide where you highlighted
Yes.
they have a specific provision for protecting and which enriching the uh, local community there. So can we take a leap
Yes.
out of there and we can have a similar law in India or Nepal or other?
I do believe we can have a sui generis system similar for the traditional knowledge, taking the examples of the Thai as well as the Peru's act as well, where we have these kinds of protection. But then again, I feel the legislature itself takes a lot of time to inculcate those laws and then process it, because in reality, we have so many of IP legislations in India. I feel there could be more tweak and make changes of using this approach within the TKDL formulations as well, maybe ordinance or regulation relating to that. So such protection can be easily accessible to the people. Because again, a sui generis system in itself is possible. It will be really ideally very possible that taking such regulations in reality would be really good help for protecting them under the traditional knowledge ambit. But then again, there is a question of the prior art considerations, documentations, and all those aspects. So I believe that there is a possibility, but then again, it is open to discussion on that.
Okay, why I'm key that itself take care a lot of government load on a various aspect, like a
Mhm.
geographical indication which deals the lower sutra of the society.
Yes,
This also lower sutra where they are involved in this IP creation, but then hardly benefited by it.
yes,
So
the
there is
benefit share.
yeah. So benefit is always taken away by the one who is dealing with those rather than one who is creating it.
Correct.
There were high law or Peru law would be something which would be we can push to. That was
Yes.
and is there any oral so there is documentary history the more or less missing on all these hubs or there is some here and there references are there?
Yes, we have references of studies basically from biology. Like there are universities from the hills, like the Kalimpong University, who have done studies on these ethnomedicines which are being used by the healers. But there is no documentation of how these healers are using them. Like we have that what we mentioned, that there is a nagdona is a herb which is chewed and that is being used for treating oral ulcers. We have puthia, which is very similar to mint, but it is produced mainly to in Himalayan regions, and that is also used for treating headaches and body aches. But there are certain ways in which these local healers are using it, so those have not been documented. And many a times, another thing which we noticed is there is a superstition among these local healers. They feel that if they document or share it with more people, the effectiveness of these herbs will reduce. So there is need for awareness among them as well, that these practices should be documented, so this cannot be over exploited by other communities. Like in this similar lines, I went through the Hoodia plant case for South Africa, which happened where they had a particular plant, Hoodia, which was used for controlling their hunger and all, which was later on sold by the South African authorities to a big pharmacy company, and then they were not aware that these tribes were still existing and this plant was used by them. So the benefit sharing, which you mentioned, was not being distributed among them. So this is one of the lack, is the awareness among the people, that they are not aware and they do not want to protect these practices, which we feel is quite required with more awareness and community sharing. So I think he's stuck. Am I audible or am I stuck?
You're audible. I think sir is having some network issues. He'll be back
Okay.
in a minute. By the time sir returns, can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, sir
Yes,
is
yes,
here.
sure, please, why not?
Sir is here. Sir is here.
Thank you for your issue at my end. And good presentation, and
Thank you.
thank you for it. Okay.
Sure, thank you. We look forward to your suggestions as well. Sure. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ms. Matisha. Next up, we have Mr. Siddharth Saxena, who will be presenting on the topic integrating blockchain technology with India's Copyrights Act 1957 for automated royalty payments.
Very good afternoon to you, sir. Do I have the presentation rights to present my? Okay, just give me a.
Deepak sir, I think you're having some network issues, sir.
No, I cannot. Now it's so proper. I think it's in between. It was going and coming. Now it's okay. It's audible.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, sir, you are audible.
Please, sir.
Is my slide visible?
It's not visible. Can you please share it?
Yeah. Okay. I think it's visible now. Sir, is it
Now
visible to you,
it's
sir? Okay. So this particular paper has been actually a
yeah.
co-authorship. Uh, this is authored by myself, Siddharth Saxena, and a student, Samriti Saxena, who is a student at National Law Institute, University Bhopal. So this particular paper does not actually deal with whether there are royalty rights or whether there should not be any royalty rights. This particular paper deals with the aspect of delayed payments when it comes to royalties. So this particular aspect of royalty payments which are not actually given on time to the owner of or the copyright holder of the work has been an issue that has plagued this particular royalty payment ecosystem. We could see this in the recent case of IPRS versus Vodafone, where they had sued Vodafone for not giving timely payments. So, this particular paper explores the fact that the conventional modes of royalty payment system can be changed through the integration of blockchain technology in the system. So uh, I'll just straight away jump to the issues that are currently plagued in the conventional means of royalty payments. So currently, the conventional means involve a lot of intermediaries who would then provide the data of usage to the publisher, who would then pay the actual performer or the author of the work. But what happens is this generally involves multiple intermediaries and there is non-disclosure of data. So there have been arguments in regard to this particular non-disclosure that the person who is on the receiving end of the royalty payments does not get access to how much my work was actually used. So there is non-disclosure, and due to non-disclosure and non-access of data, there is lack of transparency. So whatever the royalty payment has been given to the author of the work or the performer of the work, he would be then have no say whether this particular amount is actually fair or not, because of there is a non-access of data. So this also leads to lack of transparency and this particular mandate that every person should have a fair remuneration when it comes to royalties. So what me and my co-author proposes, if we are able to bring this particular ecosystem on blockchain, then we could remove these intermediaries and everyone on the blockchain would have access to whatever the work has been used. For example, if there is two streams of one particular work, the person would know that okay, my work has been streamed twice, so I would get this much amount of royalties. And this on the we could execute this on the basis of a smart contract. Now smart contracts are essentially self executable contracts which would self execute once those conditions are met on the platform. So let's say if we are able to integrate this whole particular ecosystem, then whenever one particular sound recording is played or a cinematograph film is played, then the person who is part of that particular work would automatically get the royalty payment, and this would be totally automated. So there would be no issue of delayed payments, the major issue that plagues this particular industry. But however, there are certain challenges. So there is higher cost of integration, since this particular system has to be online at all times, and it has to be integrated with a lot of private entities also who are not necessarily open to integration and collaboration. Then there is issue of scalability. For example, having one layer of blockchain is does not involve a higher capital per se, but when it has to involve multiple levels of blockchain. For example, if there are multiple APIs involved with private entities, then the scalability issue would be there, and that would require higher financial capital use. Then, when it comes to regulations, if we look at Section 10 of the Contract Act, it mentions that certain elements of the contract that has to be met. It does not exclude that electronic contracts cannot be regulated. Moreover, if we look at the other acts that deal with this particular aspect, none of the acts actually exclude it. So if we could put smart contracts under the purview of electronic contracts, then maybe we could legalize this whole thing. Moreover, there is one more issue that there are a number of blockchain platforms. So, for example, there is Ethereum. There is every particular company usually tries to have their own blockchain so that they don't have to have it open access. So, this leads us to the issue that what if we are able to make the ecosystem on a public blockchain, but at the same time this blockchain would not be able to operate with some other private blockchain. So there is one issue of interoperability. So most of the blockchains aren't very open to collaboration. Then I'll just focus upon the industry implementations that industry has implemented in regard to this particular thing. So when it comes to the music industry, we have two major players, Ujo Music and Mycelia. uh, these platforms, what they do is they license directly and automate payments. So there is a smart contract between the artist and the streamer. So if a user would stream on Ujo Music, the stream would automatically, the blockchain would work, and the payment would automatically credit to the artist. Then there is same thing in publishing, whereby the authors can actually publish their work on Publica. Then there is Ultra and Engine. So whenever a customer would play a game on this particular platform, the royalty would be paid to that particular author. Then there is films and TV, then there's singular DTV. So if a film is hosted on this particular platform, every stream of this would generate a royalty payment which would be automatically credited. Then when it comes to this interoperability aspect and managing all these things, the blockchain creative labs by Fox Entertainment gives a platform whereby every blockchain and royalty payments on the blockchain could be managed from a single platform. So, if I were to conclude this particular presentation, then I would say that if we are able to integrate blockchain in place of this conventional means of royalty payment that we have in India, then this whole issue of disputes, delayed payments, and everything could be resolved automatically. Only there would be a issue in regard to scalability and technical issues in regard to higher capital investment. But if we look at the long term benefit of this, the dispute cost reduction and delayed payments can be offset using this particular primary or foremost our capital expenditure on this. That would be all from my side, sir. Sir, you're not audible.
Thank you for your wonderful presentation, Mr. Saxena. The concern which you highlighted, the pertaining concern cost benefit analysis, whether the cost of implementing the new system will be uh, able to give the benefit which is more than a cost, what and who will put that cost. Okay, so that's something which is if the industry is benefited, how much industry will be. That's something which is uh, cause of concern and other concern which you highlight in inoperability of why different player will be coming forward and doing all this and other concern which is like a smart contract IT Act is good enough for including that smart contract as enforcement. So that's not the issue now. Whether uh, cost benefit analysis, how much time it will take to incorporate everything, and whether we can able to capture all data. So they are like a real data point where we need to look more in detail and whether it's a feasible. Otherwise, we end up having an elephant where we cannot afford to bring the food for it and money for it to be cost effective for us to keep elephant at home. So that aspect,
Absolutely,
I
sir.
think we need to, yeah, and which you highlighted also in our presentation and maybe in a more detail on your paper. That's something which is, I always say, solution are good, but whether this workable solution, whether technology is so cost is, if industry player are doing it some forum, then whether it can be scalable at the level of including all. And chain management is another issue. Person who is benefited by delayed payment, why he will come and cooperate with you? See, being a mediator, we always say mediation is possible or negotiation is possible when we don't have a one side acting as a Duryodhana in a one who is benefited by the current system may take the role of a Duryodhana on a table. Then what? These are like a real issue which, and I always believe we need to go more deeper into how to uh, break those barriers because eventually one who is benefited by current system will not cooperate with us.
Yes,
So
sir.
that
So I have
forcing
I
them,
have highlighted.
what extent
Yes, sir.
we
Yes,
can yes, you
sir. This
highlighted. That's what I
particular.
was saying. This something which
Yes, sir.
is
I have highlighted
from
this in the paper, sir.
yeah, I'm looking what is solution for this. Say
Sir,
what we are looking at is the ideal solution
sir, the
because say
high actual.
it's not very difficult to answer it. Sorry.
Sir, with every move that we make, recently I was
Just
reading one this particular news that the Vaishno Devi ropeway has been meeting resistance from the people who actually earn that livelihood from mules and horses on the way. So every kind of, I think every kind of newer solution that we bring to the table, there would be some sort of resistance. For example, the current intermediaries who are benefiting from this conventional system would obviously say that this particular implementation is wrong and there is higher cost. But if we look at from a solution based perspective, then this is the resistance is something that will get at every step. Some would say that
And
oh,
I'm
we
worried
don't have
about
the
cost aspect also. I mean, you're right. And say this way we need to fine tune our possible solution. Cost benefit also we need to look at if it's benefiting to what extent, whether the cost of inoperative system is huge. We will not able to capitalize on that in a 10 years time more. So this is something which is really moving in the right direction.
I'm
We need
sorry,
to have
I
those
think there is a connection issue. Is the connection issue on my end, Suryu? Or
No, sir is having some connectivity issue. Sir is not in the meeting. Sir will be joining in another minute or so.
okay, no issues. I'm waiting.
Yes, sir, now you're audible.
Hello.
You're audible, sir. You're perfectly audible. So your voice is breaking now also, sir. Sir, you're not audible or clearly visible, sir. Your video is stuck.
Hello, it's audible now?
Yes, sir, perfectly.
Yes.
Thank you.
Oh, thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much. I'll
And look
definitely
forward to going
incorporate
through
your
your paper
comments, sir.
also. Yeah, go through your paper and give more suggestion if possible to further deep down into the subject.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Definitely, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr.
So we have a request from one of the participant of asking us if we could prepone their presentation as it is their working day, and it seems that she's a professor. So they are asking if they could prepone their presentation, sir, just for now.
Yeah, so if prepon is fine, but I have to leave the office by 1:10, and then I would be back after Miss I have one meeting, so I would go over by quarter to four around 3:30 or quarter to four. So remaining we can do it later, or we can really rush through the presentation and reduce the time to 5 minutes.
Yes, sir.
I
Uh,
think we have 7 is there.
yes, sir. I kindly request Miss Dr. Egjoit Kaur, who will be presenting their paper on geographical indications, preserving India's cultural and regional legacy to take over. I kindly request you to keep your presentation to around 3 to 4 minutes and the remaining 2 minutes for question answers. Thank you.
Yes, I'd also require to request you if Dr. Kulpreet joins in. She's my co-author to answer the questions. Yeah, you've already allowed her in. Thank you. I'll be very brief. Our papers on geographical indication, preserving India's cultural and regional legacy. Dr. Kulpreet is the author, and me, Dr. Jyot, is the co-author. And talking about geographical indications, they play a crucial role in preserving India's cultural heritage. They are vital for safeguarding India's traditional knowledge, promoting sustainable development, and maintaining unique cultural identity of specific regions. Now, India, as we all know, is known for its handcrafted products, which range from exquisite needlework of Pashmina shawls from Kashmir to the unique taste of Darjeeling tea. However, the genuineness of these crafts and goods is continuously under jeopardy due to globalization and spread of imitations. An intellectual property right known as geographical indication tag identifies a product as coming from a certain location and bearing traits, reputations, or attributes unique to that locality. The product needs to fulfill specific requirements that connect to its place of origin, a town, region, a village, in order to be given a GI, that's a geographical indication. Now, these crafts, which range from Worli paintings of Maharashtra to the Kanjipuram silk sarees of Tamil Nadu, they are outcome of decades of skill that have been passed down through generations. So, why it is important that we need to identify and safeguard these products' distinctive characteristics? The GI tag, therefore, makes sure that these customs are upheld. Now, briefly talking about legal framework in India, the Geographical Indications of Goods Registration and Protection Act 1999 came into force in 2003 to comply with India's obligations under the agreement of TRIPS. It provides for registration, protection, and enforcement of GIs in India. GIs I'll be using for geographical indications throughout the paper. GIs provide legal safeguards against unauthorized use and imitation, ensuring the protection of unique qualities, reputation, and heritage of products associated with specific regions. Now, this basically helps in misappropriation of traditions and expertise. GIs not only protect India's rich cultural legacy but also empower local communities and promote sustainable practices. A key feature of the regulatory framework is establishment of a registration system that allows producers from designated regions to apply for GI protection. Now, to obtain a GI registration, applicants must demonstrate that their products possess unique characteristics, a recognized reputation, or other qualities directly linked to its geographical origin. And once registered, GI is protected against misuse, imitation, and fraudulent practices. The Act also mandates the formation of producer groups. Now, this is important, and GI certification authorities to facilitate registration and protection processes. These entities basically play an important role in ensuring proper application of GIs and ensuring that producers and stakeholders within the approved geographic areas benefit from GI protection. Then coming on to the economic impact of GIs. Now, GIs provide premium pricing for traditional products, benefiting from rural and artisanal communities. GI tagged goods definitely have a higher demand in the international markets, promoting brand India. Many GI regions have become tourist attractions, further supporting local economies. Now, just briefly summarizing the economic impact, it will lead to enhanced market value because of the uniqueness, quality, and authenticity of these products. For example, Darjeeling tea fetches significantly higher prices in both
Ma'am,
international and domestic
uh,
markets.
this
Yes,
this call
yes,
this
sir.
call. Yeah, could you please come
So I can't hear you properly. Your voice is
directly
cracking.
to the
So, sorry, I can't hear you. So I can't hear your question. If the moderator can help me with the question because I'm unable to hear the question.
Sir's network is not clear, so sir will be explaining them again.
Okay.
now it's audible?
Uh, Now,
Yes, sir.
yes.
Yeah, I would request could you directly jump to the uh, challenges and a possible solution.
Yes, sir.
I'm
I'll come.
rushing it to because paucity of time and we have few
Okay.
more candidates to go through it. Please.
Done, done. I'll directly come on to challenges in GI protection. Now, when we come to challenges, first challenges with regards to foreign registration. Now, to secure protection from an Indian GI in another country, GI must undergo full legal process specific to that country, as recognition under Indian GI Act does not grant global protection. This requires careful study and compliance with each country's unique legal and technical requirements. That's one. Two is a lack of awareness. Now, India boasts of a variety of goods eligible for GI protection, yet the number of registered GIs remains surprisingly low in India because of a lack of awareness about GIs among producers, specifically in rural areas. Because most of the goods which require GI tags in India, they actually originate from the rural areas. Without this knowledge, a proper prospect of registration for a GI tag becomes almost irrelevant for these producers. The third is excessive reliance on documentary proof for registration. The current legal framework, basically for granting GIs, places emphasis on documentary evidence requiring substantial proof to register and obtain for a GI. Now, this approach, which is obviously aimed at frivolous applications, discouraging frivolous applications, is well intentioned, but it often creates practical challenges. Why? Because obtaining documentary evidence can be particularly difficult in communities where history and traditions are passed down orally or rather than through a written record, right? And then there is an absence of advantages for regional vendors. One of the core objectives of GIs is to protect and support local vendors. However, this goal has not always been translated into tangible benefits for them. Despite being granted rights under GI framework, local vendors often fail to enjoy the intended advantages, right? And therefore, now in order to bridge this gap, now what we need to do, just summarizing with this, that awareness has to be enhanced at the grassroots levels, with government conducting awareness programs in regions where goods eligible for GI protection are produced. Now, these programs can have an extensive reach, particularly in rural areas where knowledge of GIs is minimal. And also, we can, for effective communication, vernacular languages can be used for these sessions. Also, to address the issue of excessive reliance on documentary evidence, an alternative approach could be considering testimonial proof to establish the existence of a GI over generations. For example, testimonies from three successive generations can be recorded and verified to confirm the long standing traditions. Additionally, producers should be educated not only about protections offered by GI but also steps required to maintain GI status and safeguard the infringements. Now, some GI products like Muga silk, Darjeeling tea, Kota Doria have created unique logos to ensure product differentiation. So that can also be taken as a lesson. Producers of other GI goods should follow suit by designing distinctive logos for their products and registering them. So these logos can be prominently displayed on goods to enhance their authenticity and recognition. Therefore, to conclude, as India continues to navigate the evolving landscape of intellectual property rights and the global trade, the future of GIs in India definitely holds a significant promise. We just have to address implementation challenges, strengthen the legal framework, and enhance international cooperation. With this, Indian GIs have the potential to expand their presence in the global markets. Thank you.
Thank you for your presentation.
Thank you, sir.
Few aspects, GI as such. Uh, have you seen the recent GI number and any growth in a registration of GI last 2 years or 3 years?
Yes, sir, there has been a growth in the registration of GI because Ajrak prints recently, 2023, they have been given a GI tag, sir.
Okay. So I am keeping a close eye on a GI, which is very close to my heart. This subject. So there is a lot of movement has been from government and thrust from government is there. Apart from making more and more registration, there are like provisions in a budget. Even if you are looking at a northeast region, which is again coming in a prominent for GI registration. So
Yes,
this is
sir.
something which is thrust from government is increased manifold compared to what was there in earlier.
Earlier
And
times.
uh, yeah, other concern is the harmonization of a GI law across the globe, something which is a common theme in other also. Harmonization is a very difficult proposition to be achieved because if you are looking only in the southeast region, each country has a different way of achieving GI protection. Sri Lanka doesn't have a GI protection act, and other countries has a different. So that's something which is a difficult proposition to get into. That was
Yes,
broadly my take on a current challenge is what you have
positive.
reflected and my possible solution. So this I
Yes,
think
sir.
it's a well researched area. Yeah, I would say I have no more further question, but
Thank
if
you.
you want
Thank you
to
so much.
elaborate
We
a
take your
couple of
points.
points.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Thank you so much. We'll definitely keep these in mind. Thank you so much.
Yeah, and by and large, awareness they are now slowly. I don't know whether you are keeping a tab on budgetary provisions where they have 2 years back they come up with a one patient one product, which also try to promote GI related or local product, but most of the thrust is GI product. Then they come up with the concept of Unity Mall that they come up with. And another concern, what you rightly highlighted, most of the time GI owners are not getting a real benefit. So,
Yes. Okay.
so
Yes, sir.
that's in short my views and thoughts on this. And thanks for your wonderful presentation. Look forward
Thank
to
you,
go
sir.
through your paper and
Okay.
give, if possible, give more suggestion to go how deeper or further research we can do on this space. Okay,
Okay, sir.
thanks a lot.
All right. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Kulpreet, and thank you, Dr. Exwell.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Sir, a kind request from the organizing team, sir. We request to have the question and answer session as well as the presentation within 5 to 6 minutes, as we lack time, sir. Is that okay?
Say, say this nine was jump na or in a queue.
Sorry, sir. Yes, sir. That only that team was a jump, sir. Now we'll be going according to the order, sir.
Okay, fine. And say I have a net problem, so I'm trying to use my mobile also and a screen also. So and
Okay, sir.
okay, so whichever is working, I will use it, kind of thing. Okay.
Okay, sir.
So
Yeah. I'll keep a
then I
tab
have
on.
a yeah. No, I will.
Now I request Mr. Shail Shakya to
So
carry with the presentation. The topic will be anti-competitive price-based practices in developing.
Hello, good afternoon, sir. Just allow me a minute to share my screen. Hello, good afternoon. Are you able to see the PPT slides?
yes, we
Yes.
can.
Okay, sir. So the title of our research paper is Anti-Competitive Price-Based Abusive Practices in the Developed Countries. And we intend to trace their experiences so that we can develop the laws relating to combating the anti-competitive price-based abusive practices in the developing countries as well. So, to briefly touch upon the context in which we have prepared our paper, uh, there is a developed and developing divide which is persisting between the developed countries and the developing countries. Now, this persisting divide is in relation to the standard and the strength of IP protection which should be allowed in these respective countries. Now, the developed countries, they prefer and they also value these strong or stringent methods of protection for intellectual property, whereas the developing countries, they have been asking for suitable relaxations in the IP frameworks in order to achieve self-reliance in technology and IPRs. Why they do so is because they understand that technology is the future and their regulatory framework is largely undeveloped. There is also these developing countries' experiences which they take as a sort of reference. Now, what are the biggest hurdles to achieve
My
self?
request is we have a running behind a schedule. So I would
I'll
try
just,
to
yeah, sir.
yeah,
Just
please
I'll take 5 minutes, not more than
silently send the solution. That would be more
Okay,
ideal.
okay, okay, sir. Okay, sir. So these are the basic arguments of the developing countries where they say that MNCs they seek to manipulate their markets and overpower their domestic enterprises, and this they intend to lessen down their over dependence on the imports of technology, and they are also threatened by the trade sanctions which these developed countries impose on them. Now, there have been various attempts to achieve international consensus of balancing this conflict, wherein Article 66.2 of the TRIPS provides incentives to the developed countries who are transferring their technologies to the developing ones. And Article 31K of the TRIPS allows for compulsory licensing of such technologies which they need for the purposes of public welfare. Now, the core areas which we touched upon is that the instances of these anti-competitive abusive practices, they intend, they cause exploitation, excessive pricing, and market flow foreclosures in the developing economies. And the main purpose of our paper is to moot the idea of developing a comprehensive framework for the regulation or self-regulation of price-based abusive practices. we have addressed a lot of price based practices in addition to the non price based practices as well. There we have, we have specifically took our concern to the charging of royalties. So these charging of royalties, they come as a risk reward balancing ratio for the negotiating parties because it is a contractual matter. And there have been instances where excessive royalties are charged, post expiration royalties are also charged, and the total sale royalties are also provided as a form of obligation under the technology transfer agreements. Now, this these excessive royalties problem, it hinders the pro-competitive strategies in developing countries. For example, as in the case of India, and the basic challenges which we have are the improper regulation through exclusion, the disproportionate royalty provisioning, and the unfair pricing, which also acts against the principles of economic justice. These are the basic experiences which we have touched upon in our research, the experiences in the US and the EU, wherein the uncertainty prevails in the United States, whereas a deep regulatory framework has been settled in the European Union. The problem of post-expiration royalties also, is a concept which is to be contractually negotiated between the parties. But there have been many efforts by various developing economies, such as the Competition Commission of India has now started exercising its open-ended powers to adjudicate the abuse of dominance. Similarly, the post-expiration royalties, we have differing approaches in the US and the EU, wherein in various case laws they have detailed out their strategies to combat with the problem of post-expiration royalties. The total sale royalties are, charged on every sale of a finished product, which is based on the transferred technology, and the level of derivation involved is largely unchecked and hidden. So this regulation is also having different approaches in various parts of the economies, be it the developed or the developing ones. Now, the India's experience with technology transfers has largely been remained undeveloped, but it is getting developed over a period of time. The IIT Kharagpur was also made in charge to, investigate to develop a comprehensive framework on compulsory licensing. And the CCI also intends to conflate the applicable standards, which as it is evident in its automobile spare parts case. We have developed, designed, and viewed for some applications for the developing countries, wherein we say that there has to be a balance of governance and regulation, and the regulatory expertise has to be further supplemented. Proper training for the regulatory professionals need to be given, and the developed countries' experience should also be taken as a benchmark. It should not be the conclusive ideologies for implementing their own regulatory standards. So this was very short and narrow presentation of research paper. Open to your questions, sir. Thank you.
Thanks for your presentation,
I'm in
Mr.
a
Sir.
call you.
Now, it's audible.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You
Yeah.
are audible.
Thank you for your presentation. And yeah, so uh, compulsory license. How many compulsory license in a patent we are given so far? Any idea on that?
Sir, I'm not aware of the exact number of compulsory licenses, but I came across that.
It's only one. It's only one.
Yeah, COVID-19
It's only
vaccine
one.
case. Yeah.
No, no, I think it's only one compulsory license was so far given in patent. Okay, so that
Okay, sir.
ecosystem as such, we are lagging far behind compared to other jurisdiction.
Yes,
So
sir.
that's also another area where we need to come up with the smooth process of a compulsory license. So that also we can add as one of the challenge as such,
Yes, sir.
because this is something which is a real concern when anti-competitive when we are looking at another which you highlighted post expiry of a
Yes,
patent.
sir.
They're still giving the royalty and also saying many times there are multiple patents involved in one product.
Yes, yes.
So we have something which is concern which you rightly highlighted. Uh, so thank you for your presentation. I'm looking forward to go through your presentation. And if there are any comment or suggestion for further research, we'll certainly get back to
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Singh.
Thank
Now,
you.
I'll move on to the next presentation by Mr. Harsha Susan Sam. Sir will be presenting on intellectual property challenges in AI-driven technologies and healthcare sector. Over to you.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon,
Good.
and a request keep your presentation as short as possible. We are
Yes, sir. Sure,
far
sir. Sure.
behind the schedule time.
Sure, sir. Sure. So my topic is IPR challenges in AI-driven technologies in healthcare sector. So as we know, in this advanced era, like most of the sectors are developing day by day with the latest and smart technologies, which is very beneficial for the human welfare, as well as artificial intelligence in healthcare also involved a wide range of AI innovations that would potentially qualify IPR protection. So this paper tries to examine the influence of AI in medical sector, the issues associated with these technologies, and also some of the ethical issues evolving around these. So, while coming to artificial intelligence, we know that it is a technology that enables computers and machines to stimulate human learning, comprehension, problem solving, and decision making. And this AI application, there has been a lot of AI use in healthcare sector. That can, the first one can be AI in medical diagnosis, where AI can predict and diagnose complicated diseases at a faster rate. Next one is AI can be used in drug discovery, like drug design, chemical synthesis, drug screening, etc. Then AI can be used in patient experiences, like AI powered wearable devices are everywhere now, where sensors can track these patients vital signals, and it can alert their healthcare providers to the potential issues that can arise, as well as administrative tasks, like it helps in scheduling, billing, data entry, etc. And next one is robot assistant surgery, like AI enhanced surgical robots can help assist surgeons in performing complex procedures. Now, while coming to the IPR challenges in AI-driven healthcare, is first one is regarding the issues in patent law. So, as we know that the legal implications of AI in India are unknown at present, and the patent regime is silent on this matter. So, the issues that can arise is whether an AI as an invention is an eligible subject matter. Then who will be the true and the first inventor, and who owns, that is therefore who will be liable for the act of the AI technology. So there are many debates going on whether AI based inventions can be included in CRI category. But since present AI is super intelligent, like without the human intervention also they are able to perform many complex activities. So these three issues are still under a question mark. Like even the who will be the first and the true inventor, that is also an issue, and who will be liable if the AI is giving an inventorship, who will be liable for the and who will be liable for the damages of illegal access to this AI. This one is like there is a strong need to establish clear guidelines for copyright protection to support AI innovations. Like many algorithms are used or software are used to train this AI. So here again a question arises about who will be the ownership. Like whether who the person who gives the input or the person who creates the AI will be the ownership. So that is also a major question arising. Yes. Next, the issue that can arise is AI in trade secret. This machine learning algorithms, they analyze, process large amount of data to identify suspicious activities. Like the natural processing, language processes techniques also helps in monitoring, analyzing communications to prevent leakage of sensitive information. Now, coming to the legal and ethical issues that is involved in providing an IPR protection, is the first one is the privacy. Privacy protection is a fundamental element. Like it requires the development to give priority to the user's data security. They must also make sure that they're not using any content without the permission of the original owner. Then comes safety issues. Safety issues are major, biggest challenge when an AI given innovation is given an IPR protection. As we know, there was a recent case that is IBM Watson for oncology. They used this AI algorithm to access information from patients, medical records, and help physicians to explore cancer treatment. But however, there has been come under criticism by reportedly giving unsafe and incorrect recommendations. Another ethical issue is regarding our data privacy. the data this AI take is being taken by major big companies, and that has been used in an unethical manner, which is a big challenge even to our life also. It has been used by big mafias in order for the organ transplantation and etc. So by concluding, what I have to suggest, I can recommend is there has to be a create specific strategies within our IPR regime to accommodate AR-based innovations, specifically in sectors like pharmaceutical research, to ensure appropriate recognition and protection. Also, it must ensure robust data protection laws, safety, and data privacy. That's it. Thank you. Hello. So,
Well,
so
yeah. Thank you for your presentation, Ms. Sam. Any specific details have you gone into your solution, or is just a reference we need to work on this?
Sir, bringing an IPR protection to AI is a complex task as it involves different sectors. So, including AI in our present IPR policies. Uh, so, according to my I recommend to have separate accommodation for AI laws, sir. Other than in our IPR, it needs a separate recognition for AI, because if it has been included in our IPR, again the question of infringement, the liability, inventorship, everything arises, sir. It is a am I, am I audible?
You're audible. Sir has rejoined.
Hello.
There should be a balance
Sorry.
between.
Yeah. Sorry, I missed the last part because of a technical issue at my network issue. Please, could you
Sir,
repeat the last
I
1 minute
feel it.
what you said?
Yes, sir. I feel it is difficult to accommodate AI-based innovation into our present IPR regime, because the question arises as to inventorship, then liability, which is a major question. So there has to be a separate category for AI in our present IPR regime. Also, that has to go in balance between all the legal concerns. Yes.
Uh,
So,
thank you.
yes. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Harsha. Now we have Dr. Kupusamy sir, who will be presenting his paper on decoding India's Digital Personal Protection Act 2023, a critical analysis. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, ma'am. Am I audible, ma'am? Yes, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Yes, you're audible.
With due respect to the chairperson, let me begin my presentation. Myself, Dr. Karupswamy, working as an assistant professor in Government Law College in Tamil Nadu. My paper presentation is on the topic of Digital Personal Protection Act 2023. So recently, Indian government has enacted this Digital Personal Protection Act 2023. This is to safeguard the individual data, to protect the personal data of an individual, and also for allowing the government agencies to use the individual data when and where needed, as and when it is required. The basic object of this act is to facilitate innovation and to boost economic development, and also to make the individual and citizens data in digital mode, and also to make that to improve the digital economy and also the ease of doing business. So these are all the prime objectives of enacting this Digital Personal Protection Act 2023. So in this, they have made two compartments. One is data fiduciaries, and another person is called as the data principal. Data fiduciary is the person who is handling the individual's data, and the data principal is the citizen who is giving their own personal data when and where it is required. So, as enacted by the Indian government, of course, this act is a very welcome step as far as providing digital economy and for promoting transparency and for improving the digital database management system. But in this act, there are so many loopholes. So through this my presentation, I wish to highlight the pitfalls in the Digital Personal Protection Act 2023. And if at all, if these loopholes are rectified, then the act will be a very good one in protecting the personal data of an individual. See, in this legislation, first of all, if the government wants to take the data of an individual, they have to first send a notice to the concerned individual, and they have to get the consent of the concerned individual, and they have to use the data of the individual concern only for the record purpose. Here, my doubt and the very pathetic situation is that when the government is acquiring a data of an individual, they may use it for any purposes. And the Act also emphasizes that once the purpose is solved, that the data has to be deleted. The data has to be taken away from the digital bank. But how far it is possible? Whether the government will it take the data of an individual after the record purpose is over? Now till now we don't have the right to be forgotten in India. For example, if I am arrested in a criminal case and it is posted in the Google, once I am acquitted in a particular case after 5 years or 6 years, the data is still there in the Google. Still now, the right to be forgotten is not being ensured to the individuals in India, to the citizens of India. When that is so, how far it is possible for the Indian government to ensure that the data acquired from the private individual will be deleted once the record purpose is over? So this is the alarming question while we making this act, will be implementing this legislation. And another alarming feature in this act is that the act gives exemption to the personal information of public officials. Personal information here, I mean the assets of the public officials. So how many assets, like MPs or MLAs or ministers or whatever may be the designation, how much assets they are holding, this information have been exempted from the purview of Digital Personal Protection Act. So when they are hiding or when they are giving exemption to the personal information like assets of the public officials, then where there is a transparency, and they may amass to any type of wealth, and there will be no transparency, and that is nothing but an eyewash among the people to show that we are acting in a transparency mode. But factually speaking, it does not provide any transparency, and does not provide any safety check. So the giving exemption from the RTA Act is a glaring mistake in the Digital Personal Protection Act. And furthermore, the Act gives exemption to government entities. Under Section 17 of Digital Protection Act, under Section 37, they are blocking the access to the public individuals. So under Section 17, and they are giving exemption to government agencies, and they are also blocking the access to the public individuals once to delete their data or to erase their data from the particular portal once the purpose is over, or once they are free. But that is not that. Okay. See, for example, for making an update in Aadhaar, we are struggling a lot. The server is not cooperating, and even if we provide the right address, it's not being accepted. So when it comes to a digital modem, it all's in the hands of the server and other things. Already there are a lot of difficulties in handling the data in the digital mode, and of course, as rightly pointed out in other judgment, that is in Puttaswamy case, in Justice Puttaswamy versus Union of India, there were so many leakages of other information when that itself is not being guaranteed. So we could not guarantee that all our personal information are being secured in the digital platform in a more safe manner. So when that is not guaranteed, how the government can implement this legislation without providing any leakage of the personal data of an individual? So that is the another glaring mistake or a drawback in this legislation. So what I suggest is that there should be a robust mechanism to ensure accountability of data leakage of a personal individual. And another reason is that we should provide a independent and adequately empowered data protection board. So, if at all if there is any violation, then this data protection board should ensure justice to the individual concerned. And these members who are occupying this data protection board should be chosen through a transparent and impartial process. And they should once again, they should not once again favor the government. So the board, the data protection board or data protection authority should be a citizen friendly one. Once again, they should not be favoring and they should not be helping the government officials. Okay, so these are all the things. And giving exemption from RTA Act is not a welcoming one. And all my suggestion is that the act is a good move. And we do agree that this is the need of the hour. But the same thing is the safety and security of the personal data of an individual should be secured at any cost. And there should be no leakage and there should be no threat to the personal data of an individual. And once the purpose is over, then it should be deleted and it should be taken away. And as ensured by the Supreme Court of India in Justice Puttaswamy case, the right to privacy should not be sacrificed by the individual at any cost. And the right to privacy guaranteed through Article 19 and 21 should be ensured to the individual and should not be at stake. That's what my simple suggestion. So if these suggestions are taken into account and if these mistakes are rectified, then this act will be a good thing and it can do wonders. This is the humble submission with regard to the Digital Personal Protection Act. So thank you for providing me the opportunity. This is due to short of time, I have concluded my presentation in a very short manner. And this is a narrow, as I rightly pointed out, this is a short presentation on the Digital Personal Protection Act 2023. Thank you so much, sir, for providing this opportunity.
Yes, thank you for your wonderful presentation and paper. Do you know, apart from government, which other three entities are exempted from IT, TPDPA implementation?
Yes, sir. Actually, apart from the government agencies, the crime bureau and other people have been also been exempted, I think, sir. Am I
I
right, sir?
mean, MSME is exempted, a village Gram Panchayat is exempted, and
Okay, sir.
startup, I understand. These three entities are specifically exempted for various compliance.
Okay,
And
sir.
second question you dealt about on data protection board. Your
Yes,
concern
sir.
is valid, but
Thank you, sir.
unfortunately, uh, the rule is yet to come. So
Yes, sir.
although it was more than 15 months has been passed, recent comment from ministry is that it's already ready and draft. It was a comment in the Rajya Sabha, one of
Yes,
the,
sir.
I think, state minister for the department had said it's in a
Yes, sir.
ready, almost in the ready phase.
Yes,
So
sir.
that time when rule will not directly implement it, it will ask for the suggestions also. So I
Okay, sir.
hope whatever the suggestion you made here, also
Yes, sir.
you have given the same suggestion to the ministry when it was open for a public comment.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So,
Yes, sir. I will do, sir.
so I hope if it was given then also, and I always you also it's a good move, and
Yes, sir.
just like any other law, it's all require constant
Yes,
upgradation.
sir.
So we will
Yes,
also
sir.
have a few round of changes in DPDPA also.
Yes, sir.
Hope
Yes,
those suggestion and changes, these and many
yes, sir.
other which given by the public at large will be implemented sooner than normal speed what we incorporate the suggestion. And thanks for
Yes,
your
sir. We are
presentation.
also in that. We are also in that hope, sir.
Yeah, we have to say that's only in our control. Hopes.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Kuppusamy. Next, we have Ms. Soumya Verma, who will be presenting her paper on geographical indications and e-commerce, combating counterfeiting, and ensuring the authenticity of handloom products online with special reference to Kanchipuram silk sarees. Ma'am, I kindly request you to keep your presentation short as we are lacking time. Thank you.
Thank you so much for giving me this opportunity. I would like to thank CDIPR for giving me this opportunity. Respected panelist, I would like to share my PPT here.
Please.
Is it visible?
Not yet. Can you please share it again?
Okay, one. Now, is it visible?
No, ma'am.
Okay, 1 second.
Sir, you're muted, sir.
It takes around 15 seconds to get uploaded.
Is it visible now?
No, ma'am.
I
It's
don't know
not
what's
visible.
wrong with
You
this.
need to
Uh,
Uh, in case of a technical difficulty, my suggestion just deal with what are the challenges and what solution you're offering them.
okay, okay. Is it visible now? No? It's okay. I'll just present orally then. I think. Is it visible? Okay, okay, okay. I'll be presenting on geographical indications and e-commerce, combating counterfeiting and ensuring authenticity of handloom products online, with special reference to Kanchipuram silk sarees. So, as we all know that GI tags are playing a very central role in protecting our cultural heritage and safeguarding the rights of the weavers and boosting the financial status of the weavers as far as the handlooms are considered. So benefits are numerous, as we already know about the cultural protection, the traditional knowledge they protect, and they preserve the cultural legacy. They maintains the historical significance. They have the economic benefits. They also protect the handloom items from the mass market imitation. They also increases the market access for the weavers and provide and helps them to get the fair remuneration for their talent. The current challenges which we are dealing right now with regards to the handloom includes the e-commerce threats like counterfeiting sales on the major platforms, the major platforms like Amazon, Flipkart, eBay, Mintra, etc. And the product is getting devalued there because there if a item which is tagged with the GI is sold for 30,000 rupees, it is getting sold for lesser than the half price of that. And it also misleads the consumer. It allures the consumer to go for the lower priced goods, so the because it looks like totally like the original one, the genuine one. But the consumers, they are unable to differentiate between which one is the original one. So which is having the lesser price, they are going for that. But they are having these products are having the quality issues there, like substandard materials and counterfeits and compromise authenticity, and it's not a reputed one, like it is not originated from the place the consumer is thinking it's coming from. So, what are the geographical indications? It's well known that it is an indication which originates from the definite geographical territory. It is used to
Uh,
identify agricultural,
Miss Verma,
natural, or
Miss
manufactured
Verma,
goods. I would like to
Miss
deal with,
Verma. Hello,
sorry,
hello.
sorry.
Yeah, could you skip the benefit and we got the challenge? What is the solution you are
I'll
offering
just
for
come on to the
this
point.
challenge of what is
So I would like to talk about the e-commerce and counterfeiting. As per the market statistics, there are about 3.3% of global trade of the counterfeited products. Uh, According to the chambers of commerce and industries in India, New Delhi, about 30% of the fashion products which are being sold in the e-commerce platforms are counterfeits. So, like key issues which are to be dealt here are difficult counterfeit detection, because consumer are unable to deal with this. They are not able to differentiate between the genuine one and the counterfeited one. For example, there are a lot of websites available where the fake pashmina shawls are being sold on. If I talk about the Kanchipuram silk saris, there was a case in 2015 where a stop and desist order was issued by the Nalli Saris to the Snapdeal for the unauthorized use of brand name and trademark. And it was about like Snapdeal did what, that it pasted the trademark of Nalli Saris to the uh, stock clearance sale of its. So Nali saris took objection over that counterfeited Kanchipuram silk saris are being sold on its platform, and they are being pasted with our trademark as well. So not only this one case is limited to the Kanchipuram silk saris counterfeiting, but there are numerous number of platforms where we can find that Kanchipuram silk saris are being sold for 800 or 1000 rupees. But in actual, we all know that the Kanchipuram silk saris are the like the most expensive ones. They have the gold and zari borders in it, which is infused with the gold dust, and it's expensive. They have the zari testing laboratories there, which can detect which one is the genuine, which one is not genuine. So here, I would like to say that there is a gap, there is a legal gap to deal when a website or e-commerce platform is dealing in the marketing of a GI related product, GI tag product. Then their culpability, how to like detect their culpability, how to fix their culpability, it should be decided. What will be their liability. So if they are supporting the handloom weavers to sell their products, at the same time they are also favoring the power loom products, which are of low quality, they are also giving advertisement to that and selling them off. So what is the liability of the e-commerce platforms there? That is very unclear, and that is a gap here. And also I would like to suggest here that we need to go for the blockchain technology like RFID tags integration and cryptographic techniques. Also I would like to suggest that when we are supporting the handloom weavers for advertising their goods on the e-commerce platform, the smartphone should be given to them and they should be trained in operating them. Also there could be one solution that there should be a filter on the e-commerce platform, that these are the GI products and these are the non-GI products or other power loom products. So in that way, the consumer can be benefited from that. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Verma, for your presentation. I have different take on a section of ITI, which is very clear on key. You need to ensure that you're not infringing IP of others, so which include GI also. And what are the problem? What you are referred to about the GI? It's audible, Ms. Verma? Hello, it's audible.
Hello. So you're not audible properly.
Hello. Yeah, it's audible.
Hello.
Just a second.
I think it's the voice is
Yeah,
breaking in between.
is it audible now? Miss Verma, it's audible now?
Hello.
Yeah, it's audible?
Yes, sir.
Now it's audible, sir. Thank you.
Yeah. Say what problem you are referred to, it's equally applicable to offline also. And other additional
Yes.
problem, which is Section 79 issue, whether the intermediary online platform, what is the responsibility and liability of the uh, online intermediary of as such. So this online platform, Section 79 and this guideline under the IT Act is very clear on it. You need to comply with. You should not be infringing other IP. So that they
Yes.
need to comply with movement as a
Mhm.
affected party of your GI infringement. You need to report to the online platform and they need to take the necessary compliance. If they are not taking a necessary takedown and other action, they will lose the protection under Section 79, which giving the shield to them against any infringement action. So that section
Okay, sir.
79 is covering this issue in my view. And I always believe
Okay.
legal is such a field where we can have a different opinion on same issue. So hope I
Okay.
may be wrong and you may be right. Okay. So that is, and other aspect of a GI handloom versus machine loom. Surat is a place
Mhm.
where you get all kind of saris, machine loom and salt. You name the GI product, sari, Banarasi to Rajkot Patola to Jamnagar Bandhani, all will be available at Surat and would be the
Mhm.
fraction at 1 fifth or one sixth of the price of the what you are getting GI minimum price. Like a Rajkot Bandhani Patoda, Rajkot Patoda is a minimum price is like a 10,000, but you get
Yeah.
not so fake, I would say, which is available at 2,000 or also. So is there.
Okay. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
lot done, and this is something which is faced. I think government need to come very heavily on this, because end of the day you cannot keep it on a GI producer or GI owner, which may not be the strong enough or capable enough of taking actions where its infringement is going on. So
Correct.
active action from not so privileged and not so able to represent themselves, government need to step in this. That's what my view on this as such. Okay, and
Okay, sir.
online and offline problem is same. Authenticity is missing. Originality is on the question mark. Customer don't know how to differentiate between original vis-a-vis fake product. Okay. So this is something
Okay.
which require lot of investment from a regulatory and government authority to
Correct.
create a better ecosystem for a GI actual producers.
So I have one question. Like, how about if for the power loom generated textiles, a separate mark to identify it from differentiating it from the handloom ones is provided, then will it solve the issue to some extent or not?
Say like a handloom, you get a handloom tag also, which you need to put on
Yeah.
your final product, which costs you 50 paisa or something, or 10 paisa per that mark is available. But problem is most of the customer don't know what is original.
Yeah.
They have not. It's like unless I've seen the original GI product, and I know how to differentiate original vis-a-vis not original. And unfortunately, let's say
Correct.
being I not went out for a sari shopping, but when I realized there is a huge difference between original and duplicate, and same is available on same shop. They will say this is a
Correct.
genuine one and these are not
Yeah.
genuine, but it's a semi silk or semi kind of they will tell you.
Yeah.
So sometimes customer also aware and they are buying it something which is not genuine, and it's
Correct.
unfortunately available at the same outlet. You are talking about online is available offline also in same shop.
Correct.
So this is the
Yeah.
unfortunate scenario we are in it. And I had a privilege of speaking to few GI owner also GI manufacturer like Lucknowi chicken, which is embroidery being downside up. Normally upside down you do embroidery, but in that is up other way around it needs to be done. Unfortunately, market competition is so stiff. Genuine manufacturer also keep the stock of a fake Lucknowi chicken. That low is
Correct.
the problem, and that needs to be look into. Government current focus on a GI is the creation of a more GI number race, but who will take care about this ground reality problem? That needs to be
Correct.
somewhere we need to channelize our energy to stop this from affecting the real GI ecosystem. Tomorrow, I won't surprise there won't be any incentive for a GI producer to produce GI product because their market is shrinking.
Correct.
That is my take on this, and I love
Thank
to
you so
go through
much,
your
sir, for
paper.
your
Yeah.
yeah.
Thanks a
Thank you
lot
so much,
for
sir.
your yeah. And apologies for the technical glitch at my end, the network issue. So I'm using my mobile and
Okay.
machine both. Okay, and
No,
thanks a
no
lot.
issues.
Yeah,
Thank you so
and
much.
thanks a lot.
Yeah.
Savio, I think it's a one presentation more now.
Yes, sir. We have one more left, sir.
Yeah, please, we will take care, and I will share the numbers and also things post 4 p.m. Okay,
Yes.
I hope it
Yes.
won't be a problem.
No, sir. Not
Please.
at all, sir.
Yeah.
I now request Mr. Aranya Nath to take over for the presentation. Sir will be presenting on resolving domain name disputes in the digital marketplace, strengthening trademark protections in the era of global e-commerce. Over to you, sir.
Okay. One minute. Please give me a moment. Let me share my PPT first.
And say, fortunately, I have former architect of a domain name dispute. So basic slide on domain name dispute, you can keep it for positive side.
What you were saying, sir?
Uh, and the second,
Actually, your voice was little bit not possible, not able to hear. Actually, may I start? What
Just a
happened?
minute. Just a minute, sir is joining.
What he was telling previously? Can you hear?
Sir was asking to keep your presentation short and directly move on to the challenges and the.
Okay. Okay. No problem. I have no issue then.
We'll wait for 2 minutes. Sir will join.
Okay.
hello.
Yes.
Yeah. So say I'm aware of the subject in more detail. So for positive time, you can keep the basic slides of what is domain name and domain name dispute, and come to the problem area and challenges and your solution for that.
Okay. Then let. Okay. Then I'm just reading for the Then I'm just reading actually.
No issue. Please.
Okay. So basically, when we are talking about the domain name dispute and trademark law in e-commerce, my first objective was that to get into the idea about how the domain name disputes takes into the challenges. That there was an inconsistent applicability of UDRP across jurisdictions and a lack of harmonizations in the national laws poses various challenges. So therefore, my paper will address the updating the trademark laws to address e-commerce specific challenges, which is essential for preventing the cyber squatting. And also, our paper will propose an integrated framework to bridge the gap between domain name governance and trademark law. So now coming to the main part, domain name disputes. As we know that domain names are served as a crucial and online addresses and brand extensions which reflects the core value of the business trademark. Therefore, if someone unauthorizedly use the domain name and causes various misuse and exploitations, therefore it lead to significant economic and reputational damage since it requires a legal protection which is highlighting nowadays in e-commerce platform because there are certain trademark conflicts that arising over here is that cyber squatting involves the bad faith registration of domain names similar to trademark aiming to profit from their value, and also the typo squatting exploit the typographical errors by users redirecting the traffic to unauthorized sites and harming brands. Therefore,
Sir,
go-
sir, could you understood what problem you are highlighting, the importance of a domain name? What is the solution you are providing in a change of law?
okay, so like if I had to come to the solution like directly, okay.
Please.
So basically, when we are talking about I would like to prefer the blockchain technology as blockchain provides a decentralized system ensuring the immutability and transparency in domain name registrations and minimize the misuse vulnerabilities. Secondly, platforms like ENS or Ethereum are pioneering the blockchain-based systems to prevent the unauthorized registrations and transfers. And AI name domains must be taken into the care because AI algorithms detect patterns of cyber squatting, typo squatting, and cyber phishing also. Therefore, constant monitoring of the domain name should be there, and the ethics of the data privacy and biases in AI algorithm must be addressed for a fair enforcement mechanisms.
solution like name protect enhance the tracking of domain infringements, saving time and energy for trademark users. And lastly, the public-private partnership for combating the cyber squatting. A collaboration between the stakeholders must be there because a robust ecosystem involving the government and the private sector will prevent the domain name abuse, and public-private partnerships are essential in funding the program to train the small-scale energy industries in domain name protection and provide subsidized legal aids. And secondly, key stakeholders like ICANN, WIPO governments, and private corporations must comprehensively address the domain name dispute. The multi-stakeholder ICANN module should enhance the participation from underrepresented regions to ensure the equity.
Thank you for your presentation and paper. Say,
And lastly, what would I would like to say that in future scope, the research should explore the integration of trademarks in digital environments like the metaverse, because nowadays metaverse is growing in a large scale. If we see the Facebook or Instagram, all is coming under the metaverse. Facebook Meta 2 version, Instagram Meta 2 versions. So therefore, a need for international cooperation in dispute resolution are crucial for cross-border issues, and also integrating the AI and public-private partnerships for effective protections to tackle the issues like cyber squatting, typo squatting, and jurisdictional disputes, which poses significant threats towards the business stakeholders and the persons who has invented the e-commerce websites, and the branding value of the products.
uh, uh, I appreciate your presentation and your deep concern for the current ecosystem of a domain name dispute. But on a solution front, I have a little different take. And just to give you a little background on this, uh, as you rightly say, why this is a problem? Unlike a trademark, domain name can be registered without any kind of hindrance. But of late, what Nixie is trying to do, they want to come up with a KYC. So, being a ex-arbitrator for domain name dispute for Nixie under INDRP, 90% plus matters are ex party, with party never come before for defending a domain name application. So, most of them are lookalike site, infringing somebody's trademark, and current arbitration system is much quicker compared to our legal proceeding, which gives the result in around 3 months' time. Other aspect like use of a blockchain and finding out that may not be as required as such. There are currently all companies having a SOC, which is dealt by the CISO and other
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
employees, where they can come to know about who data domain name generated or registered, which are infringing their brand name or trademark. And when those applications, this domain name are activated and being used, and which are affecting the domain name. So this data can be are generated by the private player. So now real concern where here is, as a brand owner, how many domain name I need to register. For example, my
So,
brand name,
sir, I would like to have a one question for you, sir. So, like
yeah,
being a person like in the trademark sector, if we look at the about the domain name dispute, so what will be the most effective solution that we can get to protect the reputation of the brand owners with respect to the domain name dispute that arising nowadays?
say effective solution is registration of domain name in some strategic way. Why? Because current system is ignoring the trademark owners. It's like a current litigation system which ignores litigation system is meant for a litigant and not for lawyer and judges to get paid or get earn out of it. To be very bluntly. Similarly, these domain name systems are ideally meant for the domain name owner, but domain name owner, brand owner and trademark owners, but they are not taken care most of the time because Nixie also come up with 2 years back they come up with the 18 or 23 domain name extension like a dot Delhi, dot Bihar, and other dot doctor,
Yes, sir. Yes,
dot
sir.
doctor. So this is something which create a problem for the trademark owner. For example, I am brand owner for the logistic company. I need to register my company name plus city name plus .com, .org, .in, .co, .in. Now I need to register other domains like a dot, uh, my brand name, dot, Delhi dot in also. Why? Because if I'm not registering, somebody else will register, and then I need to file a complaint. So one strategy I need to cautious about a new extension and register many because cost of registration is lesser than a reputational damage which created by the other look-alike domain name which end up using my brand giving not so good services but complaint is faced by me. Social media they will malign my name although I have not provided my services. So the brand equity is affected because of presence of this. So one of the suggestion I given long back when this new extension came, we need to be very judicial about a new extension
Yes,
because
sir.
you are
Yes, sir.
not
That is the
protecting
correct
the
point, sir. Yes, sir.
yeah, real beneficiary of this system is a domain the trademark owner. So many times you have to bypass. Similarly to the ecosystem doesn't recognize domain investment category, which is recognized by the by WIPO under the UDRP, but unfortunately very few orders are passed by the NICSI office, which is in recognizing this as a concept. Key apart from the infringers, cyber squatter, there is another category which exists, which is domain investor, which is not fully recognized and is affect because of the various reason. I would say one of the reason is person who is appointed as the arbitrator may or may not be well aware about the domain dispute or domain ecosystem which need to be again looked by the NICSI and other authority whom they are appointing as arbitrator. Are they aware about domain name ecosystem? And somewhere NICSI has to take a stand why we are not allowing domain investor as a category. So this is my broad take and lot needs to be done, but I think solution lies in existing solution which is provided by the NICSI, but it needs to more fine tune it. So that's what my take on it. Sorry, I had a
Okay,
my
sir.
it's a
Yes.
more of a lecture rather than talking on your presentation. Sorry
Yes, sir.
for that.
Thank you for the valuable insights, sir. I would like to thank all the members of the South Asian International Global Intellectual Property Conference and CDIPR for hosting a nice conference. And thanks for your valuable insights, sir.
My pleasure.
God bless you,
Okay,
sir.
thanks a lot. So that was the last for the day, and anyway, we overshoot by almost 40 minutes. But anyway, I enjoy the interacting with all participants. And but as far as marks are concerned, I will able to give you after 4 only. Okay, thanks a lot, and bye bye.
Thank you so much, sir. You took time out of your busy schedule to be with us today here, despite the late, and you were with us and guided all, listened, and gave feedback to every single presenter here. Thank you so much for that, sir. Thank you.
My pleasure. And thank you. Thank you.
I thank all the
Bye.
presenters for publishing their paper with us and for presenting today. I thank all the participants who were here to witness this wonderful session. Thank you all.
Yeah, and my apology for a few presenters where I need to push them and rush them. Sorry, I didn't like it to push them, but time constraint, I was helpless. But still, my apology for them for pushing them to speed up their presentation, which affected their flow. Sorry for that. Okay.
Thank
And
you so much.
thank you all for taking my comment and take my comment in a constructive way. Don't consider the personal criticism or something. Together, we can make a better IP system and regime in our country and nearby countries, neighboring countries. Thank you. Thank you all.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you all.
Yeah. Tata.